Chapter 913. Suddenly, West received a message on his phone. Your account, 542 has received a transfer of $25 million. West was dumbfounded. Where did the money come from? West opened his bank account and checked. It was the money from the Anti-Terrorist Operations Department. But what the hell was this $25 million? Was Leon trying to bribe him with this money? If it was for him, he would take the risk and try to persuade Chen Zhao again. Just then, Chen Zhao's phone rang. West, did you receive the money? Guild leader, did that old man Leon apologize to you? Yes. But why $25 million? Oh, our annual budget will be $20 million. $5 million of it will be for the maintenance of our headquarters. West was speechless. It was Chen Zhao's fault, but in the end, the Anti-Terrorist Operations Department still had to clean up after him. Gather everyone and block the entrance. If anything comes out, kill it. Don't go in recklessly. Wait for me to come back. President, when will you come back? The day after the 25th. Huh? What? Huh? My student has a swimming competition in Montreal the day after tomorrow. He's my student. I can't be absent, Chen Zhao said matter-of-factly. West was speechless. Was it really okay to be so perfunctory after taking benefits from Leon? Whatever. You're the boss. You call the shots. Oh, after this year's last mission, our members' year-end bonuses will be doubled. President is wise. At the moment, Pan, Eyes, and Eric were trapped in the food storage warehouse. The only thing they didn't have to worry about was food. There was enough for them to eat until the end of time. But what really made them despair was that the entire base was already controlled by the Monster Queen. It was as if they were trapped on an isolated island, completely cut off from the outside world. They didn't know when the warehouse would be breached. The door of the warehouse was sturdy, but it wasn't indestructible. We can't stay here, Pan said. What can we do if we don't stay here? Fight our way out? Eyes was as cold as ever. This is the only way, Pan said. Judging from the state of the Monster Queen, it should be able to continuously infect and assimilate to create more monsters. Right now, the number of monsters is only the logistics personnel of our superpower anti-terror team. However, once the Queen starts to kidnap people, the number of monsters will increase until it reaches a saturation state. Finally, it will start to expand outwards. At that time, we will completely lose our chance. We can only take advantage of the fact that the number of monsters has not reached its limit. We still have a chance of survival. There are 6 monsters, 20 crawlers, and 10 faceless monsters out there. Are you sure we're not committing suicide by rushing out? Harrod asked coldly. How do you know? I can't see them, but I can sense their vital signs, Harold said. Pan felt discouraged and helpless. At the same time, the reason why the Matrix did not care about Pan and the other 2 hiding in the food storage warehouse was because it had more important things to do. That was to get back its own egg, which was still quite complete. It needed to open the defense door of the armory at the lowest level. Woodley had been locked up in there for a day and a night. During that time, he had been in a constant state of panic. The noises from the outside never stopped. More and more monsters were attacking the defense door. In the end, this defensive door was unable to withstand the attacks of these monsters, and the disc-shaped defensive door collapsed with a loud bang. The Matrix could not enter the armory, but the troll's body could. However, Woodley had already killed himself. If he had to die in the hands of these monsters, he would rather commit suicide. One of the troll brought the remaining dozen eggs to the Matrix. Mother! Good boy! The mother stretched out its hand and stuffed the monster into its mouth, along with a dozen or so eggs into its body. The Matrix's feet began to degenerate, followed by its arms. The Matrix's bloated body fell to the ground, moaning in pain. The monsters have retreated, Harold said. Retreated? You mean they've all left? No, not retreated. They've left the door, Harold said. Wait, let me use life detection to check. Harold closed her eyes and began to use magic. Not long after, Helis suddenly opened her eyes. Eric and Payne had thought that Harold would not have any other expression. But at this moment, they saw fear on Harold's face. Harold, what did you see? The mother is evolving. It has obtained the dozen eggs. What about Woodley? Dead, Harold said. All the monsters are gathered on the 5th and 6th floors. They are protecting the mother, said Helios. So, we can go out? We can't. The outside is covered in green liquid left by the monsters, Harold said. As long as we come into contact with the green liquid, we'll be infected and transformed. So we still can't go? The green liquid contains vitality. It should be some kind of voodoo magic. I can corrupt it, Harold said. But it will take some time. How long? At least 2 days, Harold said. 2 days? If the Matrix hatches successfully, we'll be dead, Eric said. The Matrix is already so scary before it evolves. If it completes the transformation, I'm afraid we'll be dead. You can go out now, Harold said. As long as you're not afraid of becoming their kind, I won't stop you. Eric was terrified again. He had no choice. Those monsters were too scary. What do we do now? Open the warehouse door. How can I corrupt the liquid if we don't open it? Now? Open it? Will it be a trap? Payne and Eric were a bit scared. No, I believe in my magic, Harold said coldly. Payne and Eric both turned into giant bears, afraid that a large wave of monsters would attack when they opened the door. Fortunately, their worries were unnecessary. There was no one outside, but the walls of the corridor ahead were all covered in green liquid. Those monsters did not forget to discuss them before they left. Helith began to corrode the green liquid and released her magic power. Chapter 9:14. West, Gaia, Jalag, Angalit, Mor, Morid, Padalu, Pataya, Giselle, Jalanash, and the evil spirit group led by Pamela. Except for Aduz, they were all gathered at the entrance of the base. They didn't plan to hide, so they casually set up camp at the entrance. But they waited at the entrance for an entire night. Nothing happened. No monsters appeared. Gaia was a violent person. She came here to fight, but now she was sleeping here, which made her very depressed. I'll go in and take a look, Gaia said. That's not good. Yeah, Gaia, it's too dangerous. Let's wait for Chun. Don't worry. If there's danger, I'll retreat, Gaia said and carried her greatsword. Gaia strolled in the base. It was still brightly lit. Except for some obvious battle marks, most of it was well preserved. She walked around the first floor, but didn't see anything. Just then, she found a hole in the floor of a conference hall. Without thinking, Gaia jumped into the hole. She walked around the second floor, but still didn't see anything. Gaia found the elevator. It was still working. She went straight into the elevator. Just then, Gaia suddenly heard movement at the top of the elevator. She had already taken down her greatsword. At the same time, she jumped up and peeled off the vent cover. Gaia didn't see a monster. Instead, she saw a few heavily armed people. Who are you? Come down. Klaus and the others were all shocked. They thought it was a monster. Unexpectedly, it was a tall woman. Who are you? I'm here to clean up the mess, Gaia said. Clean up the mess? Klaus and the others looked at each other. They'd been hiding here for a day and a night. Because they'd suffered heavy losses here, they only had 5 people left. All 5 of them came down from the top of the elevator. Judging from their mental state, they seemed to be in good shape. They'd been hungry for a day and a night. But to them, this wasn't an unacceptable hunger index. They were the elites of the elites. Sometimes, they'd starve for more than 2 days to carry out missions. They knew how to maintain their best stamina. Ding! The elevator stopped at the 5th floor below. Where is this? The expressions of Klaus and the others changed drastically. The elevator door opened to reveal a sea of crawlers and faceless monsters. A look of joy appeared on Gaia's face. We've finally met a monster. You guys go first. With that, Gaia rushed out of the elevator and swung the sword in his hand. The eyes of Klaus and the others were wide open. What a fierce woman. In the face of such monsters, her first reaction was not to flee or to fear, but to charge straight into the group of monsters. However, Klaus and the others did not retreat immediately. Instead, they pointed their guns outside. Of course, they were covering for Gaia. If a monster attacked Gaia from behind, they would attack immediately. In current military operations, the soldiers' training criteria was to not give up on any battle and not to give up on any teammates who had hope. Klaus and the others were real soldiers, so they wouldn't run away. 3 minutes later, Gaia rushed out of the horde again. But at this time, she was already injured. Gaia rushed into the elevator and said to Klaus, "Take the elevator up." Klaus and the others subconsciously took a step back and pointed their guns at Gaia. "What's wrong?" Gaia looked at Klaus in confusion. "Miss, if you're scratched or bitten by a monster, you'll become one of them," Klaus said without hiding anything. "Oh." Gaia calmly took out a potion and poured it into her mouth. "It's done. What are you drinking?" "My boss gave me a special potion," Gaia said. "Special potion? There's a special potion?" "Yes." Everyone looked at each other in disbelief. "Miss, which department are you from?" "It's none of your business." The elevator reached the second floor, and Gaia led the way out. The others followed behind. Gaia said, "There's no need to be so cautious. I've checked the first and second floors. There aren't any monsters." Under Gaia's lead, everyone walked out of the base. This was the first time they breathed fresh air in a day. They found more than 10 people stationed at the door. West immediately ran over. "Gaia, how is it? There's a battle inside? Who are they?" "I tried. There are a lot of monsters, and they're not weak," Gaia said. "I can't defeat so many monsters alone. Looks like we can only wait for the president to come." West looked at Klaus and the others. "What about them? Who are they?" "They're living people I found inside. I haven't asked for their identities yet. We're from the Anti-Terrorist Operations Department." Klaus and the others realized that when these people heard that they were from the Anti-Terrorist Operations Department, their expressions became unfriendly. "Okay, you can go now," Wes said. "Miss, I want to stay and help you," Klaus said. "No, you won't be able to help," Gaia said. "No, maybe you don't know enough about the monsters inside," Klaus said seriously. Klaus said seriously, "Although we don't have a comprehensive understanding of those monsters in battle, at least we've fought them before, so our knowledge is more comprehensive." Wes looked at Gaia. Gaia pondered for a moment and said, "Tell me, if you promise to stay, I'll tell you everything I know." "You won't be able to help if you stay," Gaia said. "I want to avenge my teammates." Klaus's gaze was serious. "Okay, tell me." Wes still agreed to Klaus's request. "You've only met normal crawlers and faceless monsters. There are 2 other monsters you haven't met," Klaus said. "One is a giant monster that evolved from faceless monsters. Their size, strength, and speed are 10 times stronger than faceless monsters. However, there are very few of them. We don't know exactly how many there are. We've only met 3. What else? The second type should be even fewer in number and more unique. I suspect that it's a mutation of people like you," Klaus said. "We used a white phosphorus grenade and injured one of them." Chapter 9:15. "President, it's a bit troublesome. Tell me the details," Chen Zhao said. At the moment, he was with Fei Lai, who was carrying Jerlin. They were checking tickets to enter the Montreal Swimming Sports Center. West began to talk about the location of the accident. Other than Gaia, who had gone in to investigate once, Moore had gone in again. Of course, he'd gone in with a clone. Guildmaster, Moore's doppelganger, has found out that the Queen is still in the incubation stage. However, according to the people we rescued, if we allow the monster to complete its incubation, it will bring about catastrophic consequences. "Don't worry," Chen Zhao said, unconcerned. "We'll go back tomorrow." "President, can you come back tonight?" "I'm so tired from rushing through the night," Chen Zhao said. West was speechless. "Okay, I'll stop talking. I'm going to watch the competition." More and more people came to the swimming pool. But the first event wasn't the women's 800-meter. It was a celebrity competition. Basically, it was a performance event. Therefore, all the contestants were actually holding back some of their strength. Based on experience, Evely wasn't qualified. But as the champion of the women's 800-meter in this year's World Championship and the first woman to swim under 8 minutes, Evely was very famous. She'd broken the world record of the women's 800-meter freestyle by more than 10 seconds. No matter which country it was, there would be a new wave of God-making when a super athlete like her appeared. As a result, Evely became the favorite of international sports brands. Evely didn't actually rely on this to earn money. Her family was already very rich, but her current income was already very shocking. It was already the income of a superstar. Her family was rich, but being able to earn this without relying on her family was enough to show her achievements. Although the athletes in the performance event held back, they were all top or super athletes, so the competition level was still very high. They were basically at or close to the world championship level. Finally, it was the women's 800-meter freestyle. When the announcer announced Evely's name, the crowd immediately became excited. Many people had come for Evely. It was obvious how popular Evely was. Evely, go! Chen Zhao stood up with Jerlin on his head. This allowed Evely to capture Chen Zhao's figure more accurately. Plus, it was Evely who had given him the ticket. Evely knew where Chen Zhao was sitting. After seeing Chen Zhao, a smile appeared on Evely's face. When all the athletes were on the platform, the whole place quieted down. Bang! The moment the signal gun was fired, all the athletes entered the water at the same time. Evely was one body's length ahead of the other contestants. She didn't slow down at all. Instead, she maintained a high speed. The announcer's voice was very high because Evely was swimming too fast. Evely, it's Evely. She's already in the lead. Gosh, how fast is she going to swim? We can see Evely speeding up again. Everyone knows that the 800-meter freestyle is a sport that tests one's stamina. Unlike short-distance races, it tests one's explosiveness. Miss Evely is going at this speed. Isn't she afraid of losing stamina? According to the judge's instructions, Evely has already swum 400 meters. Her time is 3 minutes and 30 seconds. This means that she's already broken the world record for the men's 400-meter freestyle. I think Miss Evely should join the men's race. She shouldn't bully the other female athletes. 3/4, 5 minutes and 55 seconds. Only 200 meters left. She's speeding up again. She's speeding up again. All the audience stood up. Evely was getting faster and faster. Gosh, she's speeding up. She's sprinting. As for the other contestants, they were already 100 meters behind Evely, and the gap was still widening. 650 meters. 700 meters. 750 meters. She's almost at the finish line. The entire stadium was filled with cheers. All the spectators were shouting with all their might. 800 meters. She's reached the finish line, the announcer exclaimed. How many? The judges haven't given an accurate result yet. Let's wait and see. Just then, Evely's result finally popped up on the screen. 7 minutes and 21 seconds. Gosh, Miss Evely, I was wrong. Not only should Evely not be in the women's race, she shouldn't even be in the men's race. She should be swimming in the same pool as a dolphin, not a human. The judges have given the signal that the result is valid. Miss Evely broke the men's world record. Evely! 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 All the audience was shouting Evely's name. At this moment, her name resounded throughout the stadium. The other contestants hadn't finished their races yet, but the result wasn't important anymore. No one cared about the other contestants' rankings. They only knew that Evely was completely godlike at this moment. She'd broken the men's world record and improved it by 11 seconds. Just like how she'd broken the women's world record. The second place was almost a minute slower than Evely. The coaching staff handed Evely a towel. A few reporters broke through the coaching staff and rushed to Evely. Miss Evely, can you tell us what you think about this result? No, I'm very happy, Evely said. May I ask if there's any secret to this result? I have a good coach. The coach you're talking about is the national coach? No, my personal coach. Evely wasn't afraid of offending the national coach. She should be worried about whether the national coach would offend Evely. You're saying that your personal coach helped you get this result? One day, I told my personal coach that I wanted to break the men's world record. He said he'd try, so he gave me a devil's training. So your personal trainer, did he come? Chapter 9:16. The camera focused on the audience where Chen Zhao was, but there were at least 1,000 people in that direction. Hence, nobody knew who Evely was referring to. After the urine test, Evely's result was sent to every corner of the world. Everyone was shocked by the news. A woman had broken the men's world record. Everyone called this record an inconceivable achievement. In order not to cause trouble for Chen Zhao, Evely didn't meet him after the race. She planned to thank Chen Zhao in person after returning to LA. Chen Zhao was also quite satisfied with Evely's result. After all, he had accepted Evely's money. If Evely didn't get a satisfactory result, he would be punished. He wouldn't feel at ease even if he took the money. Nevertheless, Evely still called Chen Zhao to express her gratitude. Chen Zhao was in a good mood, but Leon couldn't be happy at all. The problem of the superpower group still hadn't been solved. Leon couldn't help but call Chen Zhao again. Mr. Chen, why hasn't the supernatural organization solved the problem? No time. What do you mean no time? I paid you. That's our budget. Don't say it's employment money. If you're saying it's a reward, I'll solve the problem for you right now, Chen Zhao said disapprovingly. Before the actual operation, we need to make a detailed deployment and plan. We can't just charge in blindly. We're professionals. Chen Zhao didn't think much of it. But I heard that you're still in Canada and watching a swimming competition. Yes. I'm in Montreal right now, so I can't fly back to LA immediately. Hearing Chen Zhao's shameless reply, Leon was about to have a heart attack. I don't care. You have to go back to LA immediately. I can't fly. I'll send a military plane to pick you up. Are you kidding? I'm not, Leon said. I can't wait anymore. I told you, we can't act blindly. We need strict arrangements. I'm begging you. Hurry up, Leon growled. I was waiting for you to say that. Chen Zhao finally smiled brightly. I told you to beg me. I finally did it. Leon really wanted to smash the entire office. He had long regretted going against Chen Zhao in the first place. But it was too late for regrets now. When will the military plane arrive? Chen Zhao asked. Within 3 hours, Leon said. Okay. Are we going to the airport? No, to the military base in Montreal. Are you sure that a foreigner like me can go to the military base of your allied countries? Don't worry, I will arrange everything. He hung up the phone with Lei On. Chen Zhao looked at Fei Lai. Fei Lai, I'm going back to LA first. Ah? Isn't your flight tomorrow? There's an emergency in Los Angeles. I have to fly over to deal with it. Then I'll do it now. Don't. You and little Jerlin stay here first. It won't be too late to go back tomorrow. Flying through the night like this is too tiring for you. Tomorrow, you and the kids can take Louis's private plane. Don't take the passenger plane. If he couldn't go on vacation easily, he wouldn't bring Fei Lai out. After all, Fei Lai was pregnant and had little Jerlin with her. All right then. Fei Lai, I'm sorry. We said we were going out together, but I left you here alone. It's okay. I know you didn't do it on purpose. Then I'll go. Chen Zhao said. Okay. When Chen Zhao arrived outside the military base, he was stopped by a sentry. Stop. This is a military base. I was told to come here, Chen Zhao said. I'm Chen Zhao. The sentry picked up the phone and asked about the situation. A moment later, the sentry looked confused, but he still let Chen Zhao in. Sir, please come in. Just then, an officer jogged over to Chen Zhao. Hello, you must be Mr. Chen. I'm Lieutenant Paul. I was ordered to pick you up. Yes. When can we leave? Oh, I have a friend called Paul too. Anytime. Don't you need to wait for the air traffic control to arrange the departure time? Chen Zhao asked curiously. Even a super rich person like Louis couldn't have his private plane take off whenever he wanted. Paul rolled his eyes. He didn't know Chen Zhao's identity, but he couldn't help but say, we're on a military mission. Do you think we need to report to the air traffic control? Fine. Paul brought Chen Zhao to a military transport plane. It was Chen Zhao's first time seeing such a big guy. He'd only seen it in movies before. It was the legendary Big, but what model is this? Chen Zhao asked curiously. C-17, Paul said. Go on. The C-17 military transport plane wasn't really a secret. After all, even China bought such planes. It didn't matter if it was a secret. Chen Zhao boarded from the butt of the C-17. He wasn't the only passenger. There were a dozen fully armed soldiers. Hi, how are you? The soldiers were all confused when they saw Chen Zhao walk up in casual clothes. The plane took off immediately after Chen Zhao boarded. The soldiers all sat upright. Chen Zhao was a bit bored. Hey, say something. You guys look like you're going to war. Let me introduce myself. You can call me Chen. I'm a doctor. Seeing that no one was talking to him, Chen Zhao continued. I bet that none of you can beat me in arm wrestling. I bet $100. Just then, a bald black man walked out. $100, right? Of course. Chun Zhao kicked a box over and placed it before the two. He placed his hand on the box. Come. The atmosphere in the cabin finally became lively. Lawson, kill him. But Chun Zhao's arm didn't move. I'll pay another $100. Who wants to compete with me, on the other hand? Fuck. You're too arrogant. I'll break your hand. Another soldier walked out and faced Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao and the two soldiers arm wrestled at the same time. The two soldiers used all their strength, but couldn't break his wrist. If you pay another $50, I'll allow you to use both hands, Chun Zhao said. Fuck. Are you looking down on our comrades? Chapter 9:17. The two burly men exerted all their strength. They tried to pry open Chun Zhao's hands, but they couldn't move them. Finally, Chun Zhao used his strength and pressed the two men's hands down. I won. Fuck. Why are you so strong? Actually, I'm a robot. What? Everyone's eyes widened. Chun Zhao stuck his fingers in his ears and made a twisting motion. What are you doing? I'm opening a screw. Don't you want to see the structure of my brain? Everyone stared at Chun Zhao with widened eyes. They all looked at Chun Zhao expectantly, wanting to see him open his head. Fine, I'm joking. Everyone gave Chun Zhao a middle finger. Bro, what do you do? Didn't I tell you? I'm a doctor. Fuck, I don't believe doctors are as strong as you. The atmosphere in the cabin heated up. They formed a circle and chatted heatedly. Just then, Lieutenant Paul walked out of the cabin. Mr. Chun, we've arrived at your destination. Oh, when do we land? We didn't land. This is your parachute. Chun Zhao was speechless. Your service is so bad. No choice. We also have an emergency mission and can't land. Okay, guys. If we meet again, I'll buy you a drink. Buddy, take care. The soldiers all walked up and hugged Chun Zhao. There was no national boundary. In the cabin, Chun Zhao mingled with the soldiers. These soldiers all had cheerful and straightforward personalities. Chun Zhao carried the parachute bag. Just then, the cabin door opened. Goodbye. Chun Zhao jumped out. Lieutenant, where did Mr. Chun get his parachute? From Reserve Box 05. Is there a problem? Lieutenant, Box 05 has always been a storage box for damaged equipment. Huh? What? Lieutenant Paul exclaimed. Then just now. God bless Chun. Chun Zhao was now above 10,000 meters. His body was descending rapidly. The wind howled in his ears. It was Chun Zhao's first time landing at such a high altitude. In the distance, L.A. was brightly lit. Chun Zhao searched for a long time, but couldn't find a rope. Fuck. Where's the rope? Chun Zhao still couldn't find a rope. Fuck. Did Lieutenant Paul do this on purpose? Just then his phone rang. Hey, Gaia, it's me. I'm already above you, and I'm descending. Land? But the parachute seems to be broken. Do you have any air beds or something like that down there? Are you kidding me? I'm not joking, Chun Zhao said awkwardly. Are you serious? Of course I'm serious. Fuck. Gaia hurriedly dropped the phone. West. Something happened. Everyone in the camp heard Gaia's voice and ran out. What happened? Chun, jump out of the plane now. Ah, had the guild leader returned? I thought he would come back tomorrow. His parachute is broken. He's falling right over our heads. Are you joking? No. Do you have air mattresses? No. Why would we prepare such a thing? Then what do we do? Pray. Wes said, hope that God will protect the guild leader. Klaus and the others looked at Wes' group. You're kidding, right? Everyone looked at Klaus and his team. Do we look like we're joking? Your guild leader is about to fall from the sky, and you're not worried at all? But we don't have a solution. Do you have a solution? No. Gaia picked up the phone again and dialed Chun Zhao's number. Hey, Chun, what height are you at now? I don't know the exact height, but I've fallen for 1.5 minutes. Falling from 10,000 meters will take about 3.5 to 4 minutes. We don't have any way to help you down there, so you can only save yourself. Klaus stared at Gaia, dumbfounded. He felt that Gaia was joking. In the absence of a parachute, there was no protection on the ground. Chun Zhao had to save himself? How could he? Wait, I have another call. Chen Zhao said over the phone. Klaus and his team's eyes almost popped out. You're still in the mood to pick up someone else's call at a time like this? Aren't you a little too ambitious? It was Fei Lai. She was asking if Chen Zhao had boarded the plane. Fei Lai thought that Chen Zhao had taken a normal commercial plane. After hanging up, Chen Zhao started saving himself. The dark serum formed a pair of wings on his back. However, he was falling too fast. The wings were blown apart. He couldn't maintain his form at all. The people on the ground kept looking up at the sky. Suddenly, Gaia had a flash of inspiration. Oh, I've thought of a solution. Everyone looked at Gaia. What solution? Water, 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 Gaia said. We have a lot of water in our water reserve buckets. Klaus rolled his eyes. Miss Gaia, falling from 10,000 meters in the sky will result in the same thing as falling on the ground. It's different. Chen's body is very strong. He can endure this kind of impact. Falling on the water and the ground would result in the same thing at the moment of contact. However, as long as Chen Zhao could endure the impact, the water would be able to buffer and absorb the impact. If he fell on the ground wouldn't be able to absorb much of the impact. In the end, the water had a higher chance of survival. Gaia immediately ran to the water tower. It was a simple water tower that contained 6,000 liters of water. Extinguish all the lights in the camp. At the same time, he lit a torch beside the water tower and said to the phone, Chun, do you see the fire below? This is the water tower. If you can still change your direction, it's best to fall in this direction. At the moment, Chen Zhao could vaguely see the fire below from the sky. He was getting lower and lower. He was about to hit the ground. Chen Zhao abruptly changed his falling posture. He lowered his head and stretched out his arms, like a diver on a high platform. From Klaus and his teammates' point of view, it was an impossible feat. Chapter 9:18. The water tower exploded instantly, as if it had been hit by a grenade. Everyone charged toward the water tower. By now, the water tower had completely exploded. The huge impact was absorbed by the water and then released. The energy was very strong. It was almost equivalent to the moment 1 kilogram of TNT was released. At the same time, the bottom shelf of the water tower was also pierced. There was a hole in the ground. Everyone looked at Chen Zhao lying on the ground, not daring to go forward. After a while, Chen Zhao finally climbed up. He still had a parachute bag on his back. Klaus and his team's eyes almost popped out. He didn't die? He really didn't die? How could he not die after falling from 10,000 meters? There was no reason, right? Even if there was a bucket of water down there, he couldn't be completely fine. But that was the truth. Chen Zhao looked very disheveled. He was covered in mud, but he still stood there stubbornly. I didn't die. Chen Zhao spat out some water and took off the parachute bag. Change my clothes? Chen, are you okay? I'm fine, Chen Zhao said. The impact was smaller than I thought. If I fell directly to the ground, I'd probably die too. Klaus was speechless. He wouldn't just die. He would definitely die. President, do you need treatment? No need. I'll go in and stretch my body. Chen, are you sure you're okay? I'm fine. Let's go. It's late. Chen Zhao walked 2 steps and suddenly paused. He patted his head. What's wrong? Are you uncomfortable? No, I suddenly forgot. Who are these people? Chen Zhao turned to look at Klaus and his team. Klaus was speechless. Are our existences that weak? We're Lightning Squad, an action squad from the Anti-Terrorist Operations Department. Oh, you're saved by Gaia, right? Yes, Mr. Chen. We want to help her. Do you have money? Klaus searched his body and found a $100 bill. Is it enough? Chen Zhao took it away. Thank you. You've already done a lot. You can leave now. Helith had completely transformed the green liquid in the entire tunnel. The entire tunnel had turned from green to black. Can this black substance be touched? No, these are also deadly germs. Of course, these deadly germs will not mutate you. They will only kill you. Of course, this deadly virus can be treated. Helith's words finally made Pan and Eric heave a sigh of relief. But at that moment, the ground beneath their feet shook violently. The 3 of them almost lost their balance. Their maroon faces changed drastically. "Let's go. The mother is done hatching." Harid took the lead and rushed out of the passage. However, they saw two giant monsters rushing towards them. Pan and Eric reached out and pulled each other at the same time. They transformed into giant bears and rushed towards the two monsters at the same time. The two monsters were pinned to the ground by Eric and Pan. Helis pointed her palms at the two monsters and shot out a black gas from her hands. The giant monster inhaled the black gas and began to howl in pain. Eric and Pan stood up at the same time. The two monsters kept struggling on the ground. But just then a figure appeared before the three. Hans? The three looked at the monster that looked like a porcupine. Hans Altair appeared again. Many parts of his skin shone with a golden luster. Some parts of his skin seemed to be burnt. Hans Altair did not reminisce with the three. The metal spikes on his back shot at the three. Hiss! Helitha's reaction was the slowest. Her arm was cut by the metal spike. "Helith, are you okay?" Hans Altair swaggered toward the three, muttering in a daze. "Mother wants to see you." Behind Hans Altair, many more crawlers appeared. The crawlers attacked the three. They did not kill. They just attacked the three. The crawlers were very weak, but if the three scratched or bit them, it would be worth it. Soon, the three of them were covered in injuries. Helith was the first to react. She vomited green liquid. By then, she could not stand still. "I can't." Blarg. Helitha's expression was very ugly. She was using magic to stop the spread of the voodoo power. Pan and Eric could not stand still either. The voodoo power was raging in their bodies. Just then, two more monsters came up. One grabbed Helith, and the other dragged Pan and Eric with both hands. "Do not struggle pointlessly. Soon, you will become my brothers and sisters." Hans Altair's strange expression actually revealed a hint of a grin. He seemed to be gloating, but also pleased and satisfied. The three were brought to the bottom floor. By then, the entire bottom floor was covered with a layer of green film. Like the stomach of some creature, the ground was filled with green liquid. Trolls, crawlers, and faceless monsters ran around. At the entrance of the weapons warehouse stood a spider monster. The upper body of the spider monster was Del Tori. Obviously, like Hans Altair, he had been mutated into this half-human, half-beast monster by his mother. Next, it was the three's turn. They were filled with despair. Just then, another person walked out of the weapons warehouse. It was a woman who looked no different from a human. However, she had an extra tail behind her. The woman was very beautiful. She was naked, but her eyes were filled with evil. For some reason, after meeting the woman's eyes, a thought suddenly popped up in the three's mind. This woman was the mother. That's right, she was the mother. "Do not be afraid, my children. You will soon receive my blessing," the woman said in a gentle tone. The three of them begged to differ in this regard. Suddenly, a dull sound came from the ceiling. Everyone looked up at the ceiling. "Boom, boom, boom. A few of you go up and see what's going on," Del Tori said. The woman raised her head and looked up. Her lips curled into a smile. "They should be uninvited guests. Or perhaps they're here to offer their loyalty to me." All of a sudden, the ceiling exploded. Then a tall woman descended from the sky and landed in the middle. Chapter 919. Just then, the people above all jumped down. Thud! When the last one landed, Qinzhao accidentally slipped and fell flat on his face. Tui. Qinzhao wiped the green liquid off his mouth. "Disgusting. Who the fuck is peeing here?" Suddenly, a piercingly cold wind whistled over. Qinzhao reached out and grabbed. It was the mother's tail. It stabbed at Qinzhao from more than 10 meters away. But Qinzhao caught it. But before Qinzhao could be proud, the mother's tail suddenly opened like a flower and sprayed out large amounts of green liquid. "Ah!" Gaia raised her sword and slashed at the mother's tail. The mother's tail was cut off instantly. The part that grabbed Qinzhao's hand was still struggling. "He's infected," Eric shouted, pointing at Qinzhao. Eric pointed at Qinzhao and shouted, "If you don't want to die, you better kill him now." Qinzhao looked at Eric. "I remember now. You're the one who purposely hit me at the airport, right? Chen Zhao walked toward Eric. The monster beside Eric also walked toward him. The monsters slapped at Chen Zhao. Just then, one of Moore's clones appeared before Chen Zhao. The most unbelievable thing was that Moore's clone actually blocked the monster's attack. Moore's clone turned around and looked at Chen Zhao. President, how's my puppet spell? Not bad. You've improved. I'll increase your year-end bonus a bit. The other monster also attacked Chen Zhao, but it was pierced by a huge icicle and nailed to the wall. Giselle looked at Chen Zhao and asked, President, am I very strong too? Yes, I'll increase your year-end bonus too. Chen Zhao walked to Eric. You purposely hit me that day. Tell me, what's your goal? Did someone order you to do it? Or are they targeting my daughter? I know. It's definitely my daughter. Satanism? You're from Satanism? Eric wanted to cry. That day, he'd seen Fei Lai beside Chen Zhao was pretty. He thought that he was strong and wanted to show his manliness this way. In the end, he failed to hit Chen Zhao and was hit to the ground instead. He didn't have the face to say it. Tell me, where's your headquarters? Where are the rest of them hiding? Chen Zhao punched Eric's face. At the same time, he looked up at Hallie's and Pan Un. You two are from Satanism too? We are not. We are the Supers. Supergroup? What's that? President, it's the new organization that old bastard Leon is using to replace us. I hereby announce that from today onwards, the supergroup will be merged into the supernatural organization. You will become the temporary outer members of the supernatural organization. The probation period will be 3 months. You don't have that right, Pan In said with a livid expression. Eric suddenly grabbed Chen Zhao's arm, wanting to copy and release Chen Zhao's spell. Suddenly, he vomited a mouthful of blood, and his entire body began to spasm. What did you do to Eric? I didn't do anything to him. Chen Zhao shrugged. At least not yet. Chen Zhao looked around and called the spider monster. Come here. Does this guy want to eat? President, let's get rid of these monsters first, Wes said. Then we can deal with the family matters. You guys go first. Leon's forming the supergroup is like slapping my face. Now that he's admitted defeat, there's no need for the supergroup to exist anymore. West was also helpless against Chen Zhao's stubbornness and arrogance. Don't stand here. Go do what you need to do. Chen Zhao glanced at West. President, I'll help you persuade them. West was a bit embarrassed. He really couldn't help with the battle over there. Also, looking at the situation, he felt that it would be safer to stay with Chen Zhao. Fine. How are you going to persuade them? Listen up, you three. Our president is kind and merciful. He saved you from the monster's mouth. Now it's time for you to repay his kindness. You must join the supernatural organization now. Otherwise, you'll be on your own. What do you mean fend for yourselves? President, they've already been poisoned. If we don't do anything, they'll become those monsters. Then we'll have a reason to kill them. That makes sense. West took out a bottle of medicine. If you accept, we'll help you get rid of the poison. This is the antidote that only the supernatural organization has. Make your choice now. Pan In and Helis glanced at each other. They were both stubborn people, but they knew that if they became those monsters, it would be useless no matter how stubborn they were. They felt that their magic couldn't suppress the power of the voodoo anymore. So soon, they would really become those monsters. I accept, Helis finally agreed. West tossed a bottle of medicine to Helis. Helis immediately drank it. As expected, the voodoo in her body was expelled. The effect was great. It felt like the medicine was specially made to deal with this kind of voodoo. Pan In. Helis turned to look at Pan In and nodded. Pan Un's eyes flashed. Finally, he nodded. I accept too. West also gave Pan In a bottle of medicine. You're the president of the supernatural organization? Why? Do you have any doubts about me? I want to say that Eric isn't from Satanism. I don't know why you had a conflict with him in the first place, but he doesn't believe in a cult. He's also a member of the supergroup. West, give him the medicine. Chen Zhao tossed Eric onto the ground. He'll be our cleaner from now on. Right now, Gaia was fighting Hans Altair and Del Tori. Although it was 1 against 2, Gaia had the upper hand. There were also giant monsters, faceless monsters, and crawlers attacking her from time to time. Helis and Pan looked at Gaia's body that was filled with explosive power, with complicated expressions. The supernatural organization is different from what Minister Leon said, Helis whispered. They're very strong, stronger than us. They're just individually strong, Pan said. This woman called Gaia should be the strongest among them. Do you think they have a chance of winning against the mother? Hard to say. It depends on the woman called Gaia. They had to admit that Gaia was really heaven-defying in their eyes. Too strong. Chapter 9:20. Hans Altair shot a metal spike at Gaia. Gaia turned around and grabbed the metal spike in his hand. At the same time, she kicked off and stabbed at Hans Altair. But Gaia realized that the spike was very powerful. It was leaving her hand. Just then, Del Torre attacked from behind. Gaia loosened her grip on the spike. It flew out of her hand and pierced Del Torre's chest. Gaia raised her sword and was about to chop at Hans Altair. But she couldn't control the sword either. Gaia let go of it. A fist covered in flames smashed into Hans Altair's head. Headshot. With Gaia's power, even without the sword, she wouldn't be much weaker. Plus, she had too much battle experience. She wouldn't care if she had a sword or not. Pan and Helith looked at Gaia in surprise. She was too powerful. Gaia's power was far beyond their imagination. Gaia made a grabbing motion in the air, and the sword returned to her hand. The hilt of the great sword was made of memory magic metal. As long as the first user poured mana into it, the memory magic metal would remember the mana attribute. As long as it was within a certain distance, the memory magic metal would be attracted by mana, just like a magnet. Gaia grabbed the sword, and the blade of the sword ignited with raging flames. Gaia was like a ferocious tiger, and her sword was like a rainbow. A gigantic monster blocked her way, without any regard for life or death. Gaia waved her sword casually. She didn't even attack. The huge monster had been cut in half. If it's her, she might be able to defeat the mother, Helith said. It's hard to say, Pan said. The mother hasn't attacked first. Harold then looked at the others. Although they were not as powerful as Gaia, the strength they had displayed was not ordinary. The other members of the supernatural organization are also strong, at least stronger than the superpower group. Pan was a bit disappointed. He wanted to lead the superpower group and develop it well. However, the supergroup fell apart in less than a day after it was formed. This was a big blow to him. But with the difference in power, he had no choice but to admit it. That was reality. Crack, crack. Then they looked at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao took out a bag of chips from somewhere. He was chewing potato chips as if there was no one else around. Chen Zhao felt their gazes. Are you hungry? Do you want some? Both of them were speechless. Aren't you going to help them? Gaia, do your best. More, do your best. I'm not asking you to cheer for them. Can't you see? My subordinates don't need my help at all. I'm already doing them a great favor by not giving them any trouble. Hearing Chen Zhao's words, Pan and Hallies both thought that Chen Zhao was using it as an excuse for his cowardice. The two of them looked at each other and shook their heads. It was also unknown why these people would accept this person's leadership. Gaia, double your year-end bonus, Chen Zhao called. Guild leader, I'm also working very hard. Can't you see it? Alice said, I see, but you have to work harder. President, I also killed a monster, Giselle said. She was surrounded by spinning orbs. Pan and Hallies looked at each other again. They kind of understood why these people would accept this person's leadership. Because this person controlled their salaries. Whoever performed well, he would give them a bonus. Under the joint efforts of the association members, the small fries were all taken care of. Only the mother was left. The mother didn't interfere at all when the association members killed her children. Just like Chen Zhao, she just watched from the side. Clap, clap, clap. Beautiful. What a beautiful performance. The mother clapped her hands and pointed at Gaia. You have the right to be my child. Gaia's blade swung. A windmill spun, and the flaming sword slashed at the mother. The side of the mother's arm bulged and transformed into a triangular knife. It easily blocked Gaia's windmill and flaming sword. Sparks flew everywhere. The mother didn't move at all, but Gaia was pushed back more than 10 meters. What a strong force. Pan frowned. He thought that Gaia's strength was already at the peak. But the mother was clearly much stronger than Gaia. One head-on clash was enough to determine who was stronger. Moore's clone charged at the mother, but the mother was even faster. It turned into a blur. The next moment, Moore's clone was decapitated. So fast. Hallie's expression turned serious. West's eyes widened. A wave of magic was released from his head. At this moment, West was using his ultimate move, which he had just come up with, the slow domain. Moore took the opportunity to throw a few seeds. The seeds landed on the mother's head and immediately turned into vines. Go! Giselle controlled the spinning ball and shot it at the mother. Boom, boom, boom. The moment the spinning ball touched the mother, it released a violent explosion. Gaia also slashed down with her sword. But just then, a hand reached out from the flames and grabbed Gaia's flaming sword. Crack! The sword was crushed. Everyone had a look of disbelief on their faces. The flames gradually dissipated. The mother stood where she was, unharmed. Even such a violent explosion couldn't threaten her at all. Both Hallie's and Pan's expressions turned serious. So strong. The mother was unbelievably strong. The strength of the mother was completely different from her monster subordinates. Bang, bang, bang. Klaus and his team members fired immediately. But their bullets didn't affect the mother at all. In fact, the mother didn't even try to block the bullets. She just let the bullets hit her skin. The bullets bounced off her skin, causing trouble for Gaia and the others. They had to retreat. Just then, Klaus threw a white grenade over. Boom! The white grenade's flames came and went quickly. The mother inhaled sharply and actually sucked the flames into her mouth. Then she spat at Klaus. Suddenly, a foot appeared beside Klaus and kicked him away. Because of this foot, Klaus dodged the attack. Chun Zhao stood beside Klaus. You guys don't join in the fun. This isn't a place for you to get involved. Klaus and the rest blushed at Chun Zhao's words. They wanted to help, but now they were more of a hindrance. They were an elite team, after all, but now they were being looked down upon. Too strong. This mother is too strong. There's no chance of winning. Chapter 9:21. Human, bastard, the mother declared. This world should be controlled by me. A more noble and powerful race should rule it. Buffed. Chun Zhao couldn't help but laugh. Did you guys realize that her words sound like movie lines? Helis and Pain looked at Chun Zhao. They didn't know if Chun Zhao was stupid or just careless. It clearly wasn't the time to joke. Just then, Helis and Pain both took a step back, distancing themselves from Chun Zhao. What are you doing? Do I smell? Chun Zhao sniffed himself. You really do smell. Suddenly, Chun Zhao swung backward. Slap! The mother was punched by Chun Zhao. Covering her face, she took 2 steps back. Huh, I knew you were behind me. Helis and Pain looked like they'd seen a ghost. They didn't think that Chun Zhao would be the first person to attack the mother. However, the situation didn't look good. The mother's expression looked like the prelude to a volcano eruption. I'll kill you. I'll chop off your limbs and then stuff you into the dirtiest sewer and let you rot slowly. Chun Zhao stuck out his middle finger. Come on. The volcano in the mother's head finally erupted. It attacked Chun Zhao like crazy. Helis and Pain both thought that Chun Zhao was dead for sure. However, an inconceivable scene occurred. Chun Zhao actually threw the mother over his shoulder. Then he followed it up with Mount Tai. Ha! Chun Zhao yelled and elbowed the mother's stomach. The mother arched her entire body. Helis and Pain's eyes almost fell to the ground. How was it possible? Chun Zhao had actually used the simplest fighting technique to knock the mother to the ground. 2018 Golden Belt winner, Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao was adding drama to himself. Wes, come and give me the Golden Belt. President, can we be more serious? The battle isn't over yet. Wes' face looked like he wanted to die. Suddenly, the mother jumped up and stabbed Chun Zhao's back. Chen Zhao turned around in shock. Shock was written all over his face. Both Helis and Pain were startled. They didn't think that Chen Zhao would be ambushed by the mother just because he was too proud. You. Chen Zhao pointed at the mother. I've been so good to you. Why are you doing this to me? Why? Chen, you're too into it. Gaia covered her face. Was my acting not good enough? Chen Zhao asked. Please respect your opponent, Gaia said. Chen Zhao's fist swept across, and the queen's head exploded. The headless corpse slowly fell to the ground. Hallie's and Pongin's expressions froze. His mouth was agape, and he did not come back to his senses for a long time. Was it over? Just like that? Wasn't this too anticlimactic? Only now did they realize that the strongest was not Gaia, but Chen Zhao. What I'm doing right now is a sign of respect for my opponent. The headless corpse suddenly stood up straight, as if defying gravity. Chen Zhao was shocked. The headless corpse gave off a terrifying aura. Pain and Helitha's expressions changed again. Terrifying. The kind of aura gave them goosebumps. It was an indescribable terror. The air seemed to freeze. The headless corpse began to pull open his chest, peeling off the skin on his chest as if he was peeling off a piece of clothing. A coarse body crawled out from under the human woman's skin. It didn't crawl out directly. Instead, it squeezed out bit by bit. Every time it squeezed out a limb, its body would grow a bit bigger. Crack. Chen Zhao actually held the monster that hadn't completely crawled out of the skin with one hand and took a selfie. Helith and Pan Jin felt their bodies lighten, as if all their fear had disappeared. They only found it funny now. Would this guy really be their boss in the future? Chen, don't you think we should finish it off before it completely forms? Oh, I would have forgotten if you didn't mention it. The monster suddenly sped up and left the skin. There was a bronze sword in its back. Gaia felt like her words were completely unnecessary. If she could imagine it, Chen Zhao would have already done it. The monster pulled out the bronze sword from its back. Its eyes looked like they were about to spit fire. The monster's skin was extremely coarse and dark red. There was a pair of sharp horns on its head and a mouth full of fangs. Its limbs were all exposed sharp bones. Its entire body radiated power. Did you guys realize that it looks like Big Pineapple from Diablo? No one knew how to respond to Chen Zhao. West turned his head. He didn't want his laughter to ruin the serious atmosphere. Roar. Do you think you can defeat me with such a despicable method? Ridiculous. Can we talk about whether you can put that skin back on? You're so ugly now. Even your voice sounds horrible. Helith and Pan Jin didn't know what expression they should use to face this life and death battle. Human, do you only care about appearances? I don't care about appearances. Can you return the sword to me? Let's have a fair fight. Everyone in the supernatural organization covered their foreheads. They couldn't bear to look at him anymore. President, let's be serious. You're embarrassing us like this. You want the sword? Sure, come and get it. The mother crooked its finger. Don't force me to use my ultimate move. Chen Zhao's expression darkened. Come on, let me see your ultimate move, your trump card. The mother sounded casual, but it was actually very serious. It knew that Chen Zhao was very strong. Being able to kill its first form with one punch was enough to show how strong he was. The people in the organization felt that Chen Zhao was going to do something again, because they had never really seen Chen Zhao use any ultimate moves. At least when Chen Zhao said the words ultimate move, Chen Zhao's eyes lit up. It meant that Chen Zhao was going to do something again. Chen Zhao took a deep breath. His gaze suddenly turned serious. Pan Jin and Helith suddenly realized that Chen Zhao's aura had changed. When he was serious, he seemed to be a different person. What was with that sharp aura? Could this be his true face? A halo appeared behind Chen Zhao. It was like a god's halo. Then, magic arrays started appearing around him. Every magic array was filled with boundless mysteries and filled with awe-inspiring mana. Chapter 9:22. Everyone's first reaction in the face of this spell was to run. The Matrix was no exception. Only a lunatic would endure this spell. But the moment the mother turned around to escape, it tripped over something. Then it fell to the ground. When it tried to get up, Chun Zhao was already on top of it. An extremely heavy punch directly knocked it out of its senses. A few teeth fell out. Chun Zhao punched again. Come on, if you want my sword, take it. Another punch. You dare touch my stuff? Bang. Another punch. Chun Zhao grabbed the matrix and used Iron Head. Yo, your head is so hard. Chun Zhao grabbed the bronze sword on the ground. Do you really want it? If you really want it, I'll give it to you. Tell me, do you want it? The matrix wanted to cry. It thought that Chun Zhao was a barbarian. He didn't care about the rules at all. Chun Zhao slashed at the matrix's abdomen. With one slash, it was split into two halves. Does that feel good? Do you want another one? The two halves of the mother's body actually flew away from Chun Zhao's sight at lightning speed. Fuck, it's cut in half, but it can still run? Chun Zhao looked at the two halves in shock. Everyone was bewildered. The two halves of his body had actually turned into two smaller pineapples. Human, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you in the cruelest way. You're a strengthened version, but you can't beat me with two clearly weakened versions. Are you sure you can beat me? Suddenly, the two matriarchs sped up and charged at Chun Zhao. So fast, Helith and Pan and exclaimed at the same time. Chun Zhao immediately held the bronze sword horizontally to block the two matriarchs' punches. The next moment, Chun Zhao slashed out, but the matriarchs reacted even faster. They immediately retreated. He's fast too. Pan In looked at Chun Zhao. Helith nodded. Indeed, both the matriarchs and Chun Zhao were fast. They all displayed shocking speed and power. Everyone looked at the three, but could only watch. They couldn't help Chun Zhao. The three of them were entangled in a fierce battle. Hey, don't describe a man as fast, okay? Chun Zhao took the time to look back. However, the price of saying that was a punch to Chun Zhao. Everyone was speechless. He risked saying this in order to prove his manhood. Was this price really worth it? Gaia, can the guild leader win? Worry flashed in West's eyes. They had never seen Chun Zhao fight an enemy for so long without a winner being decided. Gaia's gaze was equally solemn. She was unable to determine the victor of this battle in a short period of time. Don't worry, Chun is invincible. Even so, Gaia's tone was a little heavy. There was no doubt that Chun Zhao was strong, but the mother wasn't weak either. Especially after splitting into two, the speed it displayed completely exceeded the scope of his understanding. The spectators could even hear the whistling sounds produced as the three of them fought. For now, Chun Zhao could still fight one against two. But if he couldn't end the battle in a short time, they weren't sure if Chun Zhao could last until the end. After all, Chun Zhao was a human, while the mother wasn't human. To them, their endurance would definitely be greater than that of humans. But they didn't care about that. The mother's endurance was indeed shocking. But Chun Zhao wasn't weak either. The three fought for an hour, but there was still no winner. Moreover, for an hour, they still maintained that kind of storm-like offensive. See? Did you see that? Did you see my endurance? Chun Zhao yelled as he fought the two matriarchs. Guild leader, can you be more serious? West's heart was pounding. He felt that if Chun Zhao was more serious, his chances of winning would increase. Chun Zhao could feel that the mother's attacks were getting fiercer. Suddenly he was hit by a punch. The punch didn't hurt him, but when he tried to move again, he was hit again. Human, we already know your moves. We've learned all your techniques and moves. Moves? I have moves? Chun Zhao scratched his head. Are you sure I have moves? It looks messy, but it actually includes your personal habits and attack routes, one of the mothers said. Now, it's time for you to die. I'd be a fool to believe you. Chun Zhao didn't believe the mother at all. However, the following battles began to show a one-sided trend. Chun Zhao was continuously hit by the two mothers' attacks. Everyone's face was covered with a layer of shadow. Chun Zhao's victory would decide their life and death. If Chun Zhao lost, they wouldn't be able to escape death either. But from the looks of it, Chun Zhao had clearly gone from being evenly matched to being at a disadvantage. Regardless of whether Chun Zhao attacked or defended, he couldn't stop the other mother's attack. The two mothers' coordination was too tight. It was perfect, but they were one. Plus, they discovered Chun Zhao's weakness. So, when he attacked, he completely suppressed Chun Zhao. Bang! Chun Zhao was sent flying. It was the first time they'd seen Chun Zhao in such a miserable state. It was the first time they'd seen Chun Zhao get beaten up. Seeing Chun Zhao's terrible state, Gaia immediately wanted to help. Don't come. Chun Zhao waved his hand. Chun Zhao stood up again. It's not fair. There's two of you and only one of me. It's not fair. If you can't come at me one by one. Didn't you say that two weakened clones can't threaten you? Didn't you say that you can't lose to us? The mother looked at Chun Zhao mockingly. I'm not in a good state today. How about we fight another day? Everyone was ashamed of Chun Zhao's shamelessness. They'd never seen someone so shameless. He'd lost so shamelessly. Do you think that's possible? Don't force me to use my ultimate move, Chun Zhao threatened. The two mothers' expressions changed slightly. They were still fearful of the terrifying scene of Chun Zhao's super spell. Fortunately, Chun Zhao hadn't fully activated it, which gave them a chance to turn the situation around. Do you think I'll give you another chance to use it this time? The mothers had already made up their minds. If Chun Zhao dared to use that super spell, they'd kill him immediately. They definitely wouldn't give Chun Zhao a chance to use it again. Ah! Chun Zhao sighed. You've given up? The mother looked at Chun Zhao proudly. I think you're mistaken about something. I was just playing with you. Chun Zhao twisted his neck and stretched his limbs. It's useless to be stubborn. Soon you'll die. Everyone also thought that Chun Zhao was forcing himself. Chapter 9:23. The two brood mothers attacked Chun Zhao again. But the next moment, Chun Zhao suddenly turned into 12. Everyone widened their eyes and stared at Chun Zhao in disbelief. 12 Chun Zhao? Shock was written all over Moore's face. He'd seen Chun Zhao use cloning in the past, but he discussed it with Chun Zhao and knew the difference between his and Chun Zhao's cloning spell. Chun Zhao had used cloning twice. The first time was when he'd fought the source of the fallen. The second time was when he'd fought Abaddon. But in the previous two times, Chun Zhao could only create 2 clones. Moore could only create 1 clone at a time, but once the clone was killed, he could immediately create a second clone. Chun Zhao's clones were different. If 1 clone was killed, he'd have 1 less clone. He couldn't summon a new clone in a short time. But now, Chun Zhao could summon 11 clones at once. Including his real body, there were 12. Are we competing in numbers? Chun Zhao clenched his fists and smiled at the two brood mothers. Hellies and Pain had thought that Chun Zhao was just being stubborn. Now, they finally believed that Chun Zhao really hadn't been serious. Thinking back, it really did seem so. Even when Chun Zhao was fighting the two brood mothers, he'd act funny from time to time. He'd always make the tense atmosphere funny. Only now did they understand that Chun Zhao really hadn't been serious. Illusion. It's just an illusion. Do you think we're scared of you? The two brood mothers didn't know if it was really cloning or just an illusion. But now, they could only comfort themselves. Soon, the 12 Chun Zhao pounced forward. In front of numbers, techniques, and moves were all empty talk. Crack, crack. More accurately, only 11 clones attacked the two brood mothers. Chun Zhao walked toward the weapons warehouse. Chun Zhao saw that there were many weapons in the warehouse. They were all old-fashioned cannons and missiles. Chun Zhao shuddered. Luckily, the monster didn't plan to fight them. Otherwise, even he wouldn't be able to escape. Chun Zhao put away all the weapons. He didn't know how many there were. The cannons and missiles combined could probably level L.A. to the ground. Of course, this place was still quite a distance away from Los Angeles. After all, this was a weapons warehouse. It was impossible to place it near Los Angeles. After dealing with the corpses, Chun Zhao walked out of the warehouse. Then he gathered everyone. Everyone looked at Chun Zhao's clones beating up the mother, and then at Chun Zhao's real body. There was a complicated look in their eyes. Guild leader, can we not use doppelganger next time? Patya said, you could have killed these two monsters directly. Why did you have to use a doppelganger technique? Why do you care if I use a clone? Chun Zhao glared. Patya was so frightened that she almost cried. She did not dare to speak again. Jalanash was braver. She said, "President, can you consider our feelings when you use the doppelganger spell? Me Pataya, Giselle, and Alice. Every time you use a clone, you're always naked. Can't you learn from Moyer? At least every time he uses a clone, he's always wearing clothes." Looking at the 11 naked men standing there, the scene was actually quite spectacular. Of course, it was also dazzling. You have to learn to appreciate it. Look at my body. Those biceps, those mermaid lines. Do you see a body more perfect than mine? Do you see a man more perfect than me? Actually, many men here had good bodies. They also wanted to show off their muscles and mermaid lines. For example, Pan In pretended to show off his biceps casually. Pretty big biceps. Chun Zhao squinted at Pan In. Go fight them. Pan In's face twitched. Those two things were definitely not something a normal person could touch. Only a lunatic would fight them. Roar! The mother struggled. By now, it was already covered in wounds. One of the mother charged out of the encirclement and charged at Chun Zhao. Everyone was shocked. They were about to warn Chun Zhao to be careful. Chun Zhao did not even turn his head. The dark serum enveloped the mother and then wrapped it up. Helith and Pan and were both in disbelief. How many more trump cards did Chun Zhao have? How strong was he? Now, they believed Patya's words. Chun Zhao had never been serious. Just as Chun Zhao was about to pull it into the shadows, a thought flashed through his mind. The dark serum started seeping into the mother's body. Then it was completely controlled by Chun Zhao, turning into a dark matrix. Chun Zhao pointed at the other matrix. The dark matrix charged at its former counterpart. The red and black matrices fought. Pan inside. The difference was too great. Chun Zhao was the president of the supernatural organization, while he was the leader of the supergroup. He was supposed to be Chun Zhao's replacement. But now, he felt like he was a joke. Replacement? It was more like a defective product. The two could not be compared at all. In his eyes, the matrices were already strong enough. They were existences that could not be defeated. But before Chun Zhao, the mother was like a child. Even if Chun Zhao was not serious, the matrices could not do anything. Come, let's bet. Do you think the black or red matrices will win? President, this is boring. West rolled his eyes at Chun Zhao. The black matrices are controlled by you. If we bet that they will win, you'll definitely go easy on them and let the red matrices win. If we bet that they will win, you'll probably make them die a horrible death. West, do you still want your year-end bonus? You know that my second child is about to be born. I just want to earn some money for my future child. Is that too much? I'll bet $100. The red matrices win, West said immediately. I'll bet $100 too. The red matrices win. Me too. Even Helith and Pan and placed their bets. They would just treat it as bribing their boss in advance. Chun, is this fun? The gold you found last time earned you tens of millions. Do you have to cheat them of a few $100s? Everyone looked at Gaia. Gaia, you and the president went out last time to find gold? Yes, I also got 20 million. Gaia did not hide it. Chapter 9:24. Mr. Chun, I want to join your organization too. Klaus looked at Chun Zhao seriously. Me too. Me too. Klaus's team all looked at Chun Zhao with determined eyes. This place had left too deep of an impression on them. Chun Zhao and the supernatural organization, on the other hand, had opened a whole new world for them. Our salary isn't high, Chun Zhao said. We don't ask for much. We have a lot of work. We often have to work overtime. We don't care about overtime. In the past, it's normal for us to not sleep for 3 to 4 days after a mission. We often have to go to many dangerous places. Danger is the last thing we're afraid of, Klaus said. You really want to join the supernatural organization? Yes, as long as you take us out to the sea to relax sometimes. Drag him away and feed him to the dogs. Fine, President, Klaus said. I just want to show my sense of humor. Why do you want to show your sense of humor? Don't you need a sense of humor to join the supernatural organization? Klaus seemed to be serious. What made you think that? Everyone looked at Chun Zhao. It was obviously you. President, I think it's about time. Shouldn't we wrap things up? What time is it? Chun Zhao asked. It's 3 in the morning. West glanced at his watch. It's about time. The dark matrix pressed down on the matrix. Then the dark serum on its body started seeping into the matrix. Soon, the other matrix was also controlled by Chun Zhao. Everyone was speechless. To them, this was an extremely difficult enemy. In Chun Zhao's eyes, it was just that simple. Is anyone hungry? Chun Zhao asked. I'm starving, Wes said. Okay, you'll treat us to supper. Can anyone recommend a place that's still open at this time? I know a 24-hour pizza place. Then let's go. Chun Zhao suddenly looked up at the hole. Miss Secretary, you've been looking for so long. Aren't you tired? Everyone looked up, but there was nothing there. President, is there anyone up there? Chun Zhao looked up. Are you going to come out yourself? Or do I have to drag you out? Asalisa finally appeared. Everyone was surprised. They didn't expect Asalisa to be a witch. She had just used an invisibility spell. Even Pain and Helith did not expect this. Asalisa had been observing the battle, thinking that no one had noticed her. Unexpectedly, Chun Zhao still found out. She was also shocked by Chun Zhao's strength. She didn't think she was Chun Zhao's match. Mr. Chun, we meet again. Silence her. Klaus and the others pointed their guns at Asalisa. Asalisa's face turned pale. Mr. Chun, why? Nonsense, you're definitely going to snitch to that old thing, Leong. I might as well kill you right now. Mr. Chun, how about I join the supernatural organization? Sure. Chun Zhao was smart enough to agree right away. Guild leader, do you really believe her words so easily? She's Leang's woman. Do you think I'm handsome? West's cheeks twitched. Dare I say not handsome? Against his will, West nodded. Yes. That's why I think that my handsomeness has already charmed her, Chun Zhao said. I believe that she really wants to join the supernatural organization and use it to get close to me. Everyone didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Even Asalisa's face was filled with helplessness. Thinking about it, West understood what Chun Zhao meant. Chun Zhao planned to place Asalisa beside Leong and have her be his spy. Indeed, Chun Zhao wanted to use her as a spy. That old bastard Leong wasn't reliable, so it was indeed necessary to place a spy beside him. Since Asalisa was so straightforward and wanted to be his spy, there was no reason for him to reject her. Everyone dragged their tired bodies and left the base. Then, the base completely sank into the depths of the ground amidst the violent explosion. Everyone walked out of the exit. Pan carried Eric on his back. Walking in front, Helith suddenly stopped. Oh no, prepare for battle. Pan also left Eric behind and turned into a giant bear. Everyone looked at Helith and Pain with puzzled eyes. What are you doing? Chun Zhao looked at them. President, can't you see? There are so many evil spirits. The exit was filled with evil spirits, blocking their way. Chun Zhao said. This is our evil spirit army. Pan and Helith were dumbfounded. Was this the supernatural organization's true power? Previously, Leong had told them that the supernatural organization was a waste concentration camp. But why did such a waste concentration camp always shock them? On the other hand, they thought that they could replace the supernatural organization, but in the end, they gathered 6 unknown newbies. On the first day of the supergroup's establishment, they were attacked and destroyed. President, do I get supper? Asalisa looked at Chun Zhao with a faint smile. Yes, of course. As long as you're a member of the organization, everyone can go. This was Chun Zhao's promise to Asalisa. Some things didn't need to be said clearly. Everyone returned to the city and found the pizza shop that Klaus had mentioned. When they entered, only a girl was working the night shift. When she saw the large group of people, she was shocked. More importantly, there were bloodstains on them. Klaus didn't put away his gun either. There was also a person carrying a person covered in blood. The girl was so scared that she started crying. In the end, a few other women went up to explain and finally calmed the girl down. In the end, the police came while they were eating. The police didn't take them back to the station. After Klaus showed his identity, the police confirmed everyone's identity and then left. Everyone ate happily. After the girl confirmed that the supernatural organization wasn't bad people, she was also very happy. Only one person wasn't happy. West. President, can you eat less? You've already eaten 20 pieces of pizza. I work a lot, so of course I eat a lot. Chun Zhao was still stuffing pizza into his mouth. I think that with your appetite, you should go to a buffet. There's no buffet now. I was blacklisted by a buffet last time, Chun Zhao said helplessly. Chapter 9:25. President, aren't you going home? No, Chun Zhao said. I have to go pick up Fei Lai later. The lights outside the pizza shop had already lit up. The number of members decreased one by one. The girls couldn't take it anymore and went home to sleep first. President, I have to go back and report to Leon. Goodbye. Asalisa also left. Klaus and his team were the last to leave. Chun Zhao got to know each of them one by one. Klaus and his team didn't join the supernatural organization for anything else. It wasn't because they were interested in supernatural events. It was to earn compensation for his teammates who died in this incident. All of them had families. Some were single, but they all had families. They were elite teams in the anti-terrorism department, but their salaries weren't high. Plus, they spent a lot of money and didn't have any savings. As a result, they couldn't even take out compensation for their teammates. Actually, America's compensation for soldiers was quite high. With all kinds of insurance, it could reach around $1 million. However, it wasn't a one-time thing. Some of the conditions were rather strict. Klaus and his team weren't part of the regular army either. They didn't even have insurance. This meant that the compensation for the team members who died in this operation wouldn't be high. Chun Zhao had lent them $2 million. Of course, he had to pay it back. If they missed even one, Chun Zhao would fight them to the death. Sir, do you want coffee? The girl on duty asked when she saw that Chun Zhao was the only one left. Thank you. Chun Zhao nodded. After pouring Chun Zhao a cup of coffee, she said, I'm changing shifts. Goodbye. Goodbye. Chun Zhao looked at the time. It was already past 9 in the morning. He prepared to go to the airport. An hour ago, Fei Lai had called. She'd already boarded Lewis's plane with Jerlin and her family. It would take around 6 hours, but Chun Zhao didn't plan to go home. He planned to go to the airport and sit for a few hours. Mr. Leon, the supernatural organization's exorcism is complete. The military base has collapsed. Asalisa, how did you survive? Leon had actually received the news last night that Chun Zhao and his team had appeared in the city. However, he was more curious as to how Asalisa had survived. I found a hidden hideout in the base and hid there for 2 days until the people from the supernatural organization rescued me. So, did you see the situation of their battle? Because the situation was very dangerous. I was isolated from the battlefield, so I didn't know what happened. After the battle, the supernatural organization escorted me back to the city. What about the survivors of Lightning Squad and Supergroup? Why didn't they come back? They've all been taken in by the supernatural organization. Wait a minute. What does that mean? They have become part of the supernatural organization. What? Who allowed it? I don't agree. Inform the members of the Supergroup and the Lightning Squad immediately. I hired them with money. When did I agree to let them leave the anti-terrorist operations department? Exasperated, Leon picked up his phone and called Chun Zhao. Mr. Chun, I want you to give me an explanation. Why did Lightning Squad and Supergroup become part of the supernatural organization? They were originally members of the anti-terrorist operations department. Oh, about the Lightning Squad, they plan to hand in their resignation letter to you. As for the Supers, I heard that they're a private team. Then, they expressed their gratitude to the supernatural organization for saving them from danger, so they willingly merged with the Supers. Mr. Chun, let's be straightforward. Both of their teams are the property of the Anti-Terrorist Operations Department. I don't agree to let them leave us for no reason. Mr. Leon, let me be frank with you. I'm very dissatisfied with the schedule you arranged for me to come back yesterday. I don't understand why you're dissatisfied. Did you have a conflict with someone on the plane? No, but when I got off the plane, I parachuted down. So what? Mr. Chun, you don't even know how to parachute? I'm not against parachuting, but I received a parachute that couldn't be opened. I can't help but suspect that someone purposely arranged this to kill me. Bullshit. You know very well whether I'm bullshitting or not. Chun Zhao hung up. Leon's face was full of shock. He then picked up another phone and said, "Transfer me to the Montreal Alliance military base." After a while, Leon finally connected to the officer who had arranged for Chun Zhao to get on the plane yesterday. "You're Lieutenant Paul, right?" "That's me." "Who are you?" "Yesterday, I arranged for someone to take your plane and parachute near Los Angeles. I want to know why his parachute couldn't be opened." "Sir, it's my fault. I gave the wrong person a malfunctioning parachute. I've already reported this to the higher-ups." Leon was infuriated. He had offended Chun Zhao again for no reason. It wasn't his arrangement, but even if he explained now, Chun Zhao probably wouldn't believe him. He made it seem like he was in the wrong. He had to suffer in silence. He was in the mud now. Even if he wasn't dead, he was dead. Fuck, this Asterisk Shoal jumped from 10,000 meters without a parachute. Why isn't he dead? Leon roared furiously. It'd be great if he died. Beside him, Osalice's heart jumped. Chun Zhao didn't die from falling from 10,000 meters? This made Osalice's impression of Chun Zhao's strength rise again. Leon was old. Now, he only wanted to consolidate his position. In a few years, Leon would be demoted. Osalice also had to think about her future now. If she kept relying on Leon, after he demoted and a new official took office, she would most likely be punished. If it was more serious, she might disappear from the world. Thus, Osalice also had to plan for her future. She basically couldn't go further in politics. After all, she was only a secretary, but she had access to many secrets. She had to find a powerful backer. The supernatural organization was a good choice. With a powerful president like Chun Zhao, even a stubborn old Asterisk Shoal like Leon had to compromise with him. Of course, she had to pay in return. Chapter 9:26. Fei Lai and the family finally walked out of the boarding gate. "Darling, did you miss me?" Chun Zhao went up to hug Fei Lai, but Zhirlin, who was in Fei Lai's arms, pushed him away immediately. "You go." Little Zhirlin pointed to the side with her delicate little finger with an angry expression on her face. "But what's with this British accent?" Fei Lai couldn't help but laugh. "How does it feel to be despised by your own daughter?" "Baby, you don't want me anymore?" Chun Zhao really wanted to die now. "Bah," Zhirlin said childishly, looking at Chun Zhao. "Fei Lai, did you cast some spell on little Zhirlin? Why doesn't she want me anymore?" "Because she didn't see you when she woke up last night." This was the first time Chun Zhao wasn't by Zhirlin's side when she woke up at night. This girl was so young, but she was already so vengeful. On the way home, Fei Lai drove, while Chun Zhao coaxed Zhirlin. After a long time, Zhirlin finally accepted Chun Zhao again. This made Chun Zhao very happy. The feeling of having a daughter was really different. Just then, Chun Zhao's phone rang. Zhirlin immediately tried to snatch the phone. Not caring who was calling, she yelled into the phone, "Bot% hashtag with that." She tossed the phone to the side like an irreconcilable enemy. "Fei Lai, can you help me explain what Zhirlin just said?" Chun Zhao was dumbfounded. Apart from don't, which he could barely understand, he didn't understand anything else. Every time she sees that you're going to leave after answering the phone, she tells the person on the phone not to disturb my dad anymore, or else I'll beat you to death. Fei Lai felt like she was going to slip the steering wheel, but she doesn't know how to say anything else. She only knows a few simple words. Do, don't go, come back. Chun Zhao felt that he should avoid Zhirlin if he called in the future. He didn't want her to smash his phone again. But a child's temper came and went quickly. Soon, Zhirlin forgot about Chun Zhao's call and started playing with other animals again. Chun Zhao took the phone and sat on the roof of the car. He looked at the caller ID. It was Felwood Cisco. Chun Zhao called him back. "Mr. Felwood, I'm sorry. My daughter took the phone just now." "It's okay. I didn't know you already have a daughter." Felwood was still worried. "Mr. Chun, the foundation is done. Would you like to come and check it?" "Okay. Are you still at the construction site in the afternoon?" "Yes. I'll wait for you here." "Okay. Chen Zhao replied. Trusting Felwood Cisco was one thing. However, this kind of quality problem still needed to be checked. After all, it was a matter of quality. If there was a problem, people would die. He had to be responsible for his own people. Then he called West and told him to find an engineering quality inspection company. To be able to open a quality inspection company, one must be qualified to issue quality inspection certificates. If the quality inspection company passed the engineering test during the inspection, and then there was a problem with the engineering quality, a quality inspection company needed a person in charge, so the fees for this kind of company were more expensive. Generally, they would charge at least 1% of the construction fee. For a 10 million construction project, they would charge 100,000 US dollars. In the afternoon, he went to the headquarters. At this time, the headquarters had completely become a construction site. West and the people from the quality inspection company had already arrived. Mr. Chun, seeing Chen Zhao, Felwood immediately went up to greet him. Mr. Felwood, how's the main building now? Chen Zhao asked. The foundation is done. I see. Chen Zhao furrowed his brows. Mr. Chun, are you dissatisfied with the progress? Felwood was very nervous about Chen Zhao, his investor. He was afraid that Chen Zhao would be dissatisfied with something. No, I just want to increase the budget by a few million. But the foundation is already done. Can I change it? Felwood almost choked. He thought that Chen Zhao was dissatisfied with the project. But Chen Zhao's next words almost made Felwood laugh. The original budget was 2 million, and now he wanted to increase it by a few million? This was like a pie falling from the sky. Not to mention the foundation. Even if the main building was built, he would tear it down and redesign it. Of course it can be changed. Mr. Chun, how much do you want to increase the budget, and what structure do you want to add? My team and I will do our best to cooperate with you. Felwood looked at Chen Zhao with sparkling eyes. You're right. Will it be troublesome? Chen Zhao asked. No, not at all. Then let's add 5 million USD to the original amount. Felwood Cisco's eyes lit up. That would be $7 million. He gotten it from Leong anyway. If he didn't spend it all, Chen Zhao would feel uncomfortable. Chen Zhao didn't know much about engineering, but Felwood didn't think so. Chen Zhao wasn't troublesome at all. He was here to give him an order. Moreover, it was a super big order, even if it was a big company. Even a big company might not be able to get a multi-million-dollar order in a year. There were so many construction companies in the United States. Although a small number of them were very famous, building a relatively famous building was already the only time in a company's life. Most of the time, these construction companies would take orders like Chen Zhao's. Chen Zhao's order was actually a big one. First, I want to build a spacious underground space. The bottom should be as big as a basketball court and at least 10 meters tall. Then the main building will be above it. Then, I want to add accommodation in the main building. I want the conditions to be good. I don't like to mistreat my subordinates. Yes, I understand. As for the design, I'll change the previous design and redesign the structure. Felwood wasn't afraid of trouble. He was afraid that Chen Zhao wouldn't have any requests. If Chen Zhao didn't have any requests, it would mean that he couldn't use up his budget. Apart from that, I also need a circular track around the entire building. You want to build a stadium? I don't need a stadium as big as a stadium. I just need a track. Chen Zhao didn't want to build a stadium. If he did, it would cost more than 10 million. Mr. Chen, what about the main building? If it's just your requests, I'll add 1 million at most. Then add a leisure area, a gym, a recreation room, a restaurant, and so on. Add everything you can. Also, build a garden. Oh, and a huge swimming pool. Mr. Chun, even so, it's only 200,000 or 300,000. What if we dig a man-made lake? Chen Zhao asked. Then we can dig a 3 square kilometer lake. I'll add 3 million and make it bigger. Chapter 9:27. December in Los Angeles was much colder than last year. The temperature dropped below 10 degrees at night, and it hovered around 15 degrees during the day. Usually, the temperature in Los Angeles was stable all year round. It would always be around 20 degrees, but this year was a bit different. After entering December, the entire city felt like a storm was coming. Of course, it wasn't a bad thing. It was just that the festive atmosphere was getting stronger. Even though there were still 20 days left, everyone became lazy. Everyone was waiting for the arrival of Christmas. The temperature in Mirror Lake had always been stable because of the abundant spiritual chi. The temperature in Mirror Lake was around 20 degrees during the day and wouldn't drop below 10 degrees at night. A few cars drove along the winding path to Mirror Lake. In the car, West warned Payne, Blacklist, and Eric. You have to remember that the president is stingy, very stingy. Everyone looked at West strangely. Saying this in front of so many people, was he really not afraid of death? In the president's house, do whatever he wants you to do. Don't do what he doesn't want you to do. Don't touch what you shouldn't touch. Don't take what you shouldn't take. Not even a leaf. Otherwise, you might have a chance to have intimate contact with the president's pets. Payne, let me borrow your spell. Eric immediately wanted to borrow Payne's druid spell. Everyone looked at Eric even more strangely. Gaia finally couldn't help but remind him, don't think about fighting with Chen's pets. They're all monster level. Some of them might be as strong as their mother. Payne, Blacklist, and Eric's expressions changed again. The others are just relatively weaker, but they're still monster level. I've seen the president's pets, Eric said. Eric said, but look at his pet. Although it's a little bigger, it's still a normal wild animal, right? Do you know about the Irvine incident a month ago? Yes, but I don't know the details. The Irvine incident was caused by something that calls itself Abaddon, Alas said. Abaddon? That Abaddon from the apocalypse? The angel of plague and death? No one knows if it's the real Abaddon, but its strength is terrifying. The entire Irvine was shrouded in the fog of death, and the president's pet also played a crucial role in that battle. Alice said, his snake, Raymond, transformed into a 20-meter-long snake. Doesn't the president have any normal pets? Yes, 2 little bears and 2 little lions. That should be the most normal. If you want to find someone to fight with, they should be the only ones you can beat. No, there's also Samuel. Samuel? The Demon King's name? What was that? What kind of creature is it? The 3 of them shuddered when they heard Samuel's name. Just a little kitten. It should be the weakest, but it's the leader of all the pets, West said. West, you forgot to introduce the president's 3 most special pets, Gaia said. All right. The president's family also has 3 legendary magical beasts. Legend? The 3 of them immediately became serious, and they couldn't help but reveal curious expressions. What legendary magical beasts? Hell's 3-headed hound, Hydra, and fire dragon. Are you kidding? Anyway, the president's house is a huge zoo, West said. West said, I suspect that his pets are actually transformed from some legendary magical beast. Just then, the car stopped. Everyone from the 3 cars got off. Other than the old members of the association, Aduz, who had recovered from his injuries, and the new members who just joined the association last time were all here. Chen Zhao was preparing to barbecue. Hearing that the association was coming, he'd already prepared in advance. Hello, come in. Chen's already waiting for you. Fei Lai walked out slowly with a big belly. However, Fei Lai didn't accompany them. She planned to go to the backyard to pick some dead leaves for the grape trees. Some normal varieties of grape trees would lose all their leaves in winter. However, her grape trees would only have some dead leaves occasionally. After tasting the sweetness, Fei Lai treasured her grape trees a lot. The people from the association arrived at the front yard. Gaia walked up to help Chen Zhao with the barbecue. Which one of you doesn't eat spicy food? Gaia asked. They were here to visit Chen Zhao and relax at the same time. They didn't have any special purpose. Thus, everyone was more relaxed. Payne, Blacklist, and Eric were very nervous. What the others had said in the car kept them on tenterhooks. Klaus, can you get used to the association? Chen Zhao asked. Yes, Klaus answered. At first, they weren't used to it. Apart from humans, there were only evil spirits in the association. Moreover, they were evil spirits in groups. The first time they saw an evil spirit, they almost peed their pants. On the other hand, Aduz, an ordinary old guard, gave them a lot of guidance. He also introduced them to a few evil spirits that he could play with. In the past, they wouldn't dare to imagine this. Play with evil spirits? But after some time, they gradually got used to it. Actually, evil spirits were similar to them in some aspects. Fear. Fear of Chen Zhao. In the supernatural organization, Chen Zhao was like a demon king. They gradually understood him. For example, other than being petty, he was also very protective. Aduz had been in the hospital for 20 days. The puppeteer that had attacked and injured him was still locked in the temporary headquarters. Every day, they could hear horrifying screams coming from the dark room. By the way, where are you guys planning to go for your annual vacation? Chun Zhao asked. South Africa, Wes said. We're planning to go to Cape Town. President, are you coming? I won't. Feilai's already so big. It's not convenient for her to go far, Chun Zhao said. You guys have fun? Everyone was speechless. A 3-month belly? Was that big? Feilai could even jump around when she was 8 or 9 months pregnant. I only have one request. You guys can go and play. Spend the money however you want. But don't cause trouble for me, Chen Zhao said. I don't want to suddenly get a call from you guys asking me to save you during my Christmas vacation. President, we're just going for a vacation, Wes said unconcerned. It's not like we're going to do something illegal. That's for the best. Have fun. By the way, where's Princess and the others? Chapter 9:28. Just then, they saw an unbelievably huge bear approach them with an equally huge crocodile in its mouth. Everyone looked at Princess and then at Panin. Panin's druid transformation spell could also turn him into a bear. But compared to Princess, Panin's bear was like a grandson. Such a huge crocodile, Wes said. How can there be such a huge crocodile in the river in L.A.? This was Los Angeles, after all. The appearance of such a behemoth in the city's river could cause panic if news got out. Most crocodiles could adapt to freshwater and seawater. If they wandered to a beach, they might attack people. Moreover, they were the largest crocodiles. Some that lived along the coastline could even fight with sharks in the sea. The crocodile before them was at least 6 meters long and almost a ton in weight. It was almost a top-tier predator. Of course, Chen Zhao's family wasn't included. Klaus walked up to the crocodile. Its skull was already shattered. It was still breathing, but it wasn't far from death. After inspecting it, Klaus looked up at Chen Zhao. President, this is an Australian crocodile. It can't be here. Could it have escaped from the zoo? Chen Zhao asked. There are a few crocodiles in the Central Zoo of LA, but the biggest one is only 4 meters. I've never heard of any crocodiles escaping from that zoo. I suspect that someone purposely placed it in the river. Klaus looked at the environment of Mirror Lake. President, the temperature here is a few degrees higher than in the city. It'll make the crocodiles move into the lake. According to my guess, someone wants to harm you. If you or your family swims in the lake, you'll probably be attacked. Everyone's expression changed. The crocodile was huge, but it definitely wasn't a threat to Chen Zhao. But what if it was Feilai or Jerlin? If they were in danger, what would happen to Chen Zhao? Chen Zhao's expression darkened too. Chen Zhao stood up and shouted at the lake, Amon! In the water, a huge creature gradually appeared in the distance. When Klaus and the others, as well as Pan, Eric, and Hallie saw Amon, they paled in fear. Did anything like a crocodile enter Mirror Lake? No, master. Hearing Amon's answer, Chen Zhao heaved a sigh of relief. Keep a close eye on it. Kill any creature that weighs more than 30 kilograms in Mirror Lake. It doesn't matter if it's a human or something else. Also, kill all catfish that weigh more than 30 kilograms in Mirror Lake. Everyone broke out in a cold sweat. Chen Zhao was really scary when he was angry. Guild leader, if a normal person has a grudge against you, they wouldn't use such a strange method to harm you. Cuz speculated, and to use this method on you, one possibility is that it has something to do with animals. If they could send such a big crocodile to Los Angeles and throw it into the river, it means that they have a very powerful channel. At least if it were me, I wouldn't be able to do it. At the same time, they don't know you well enough to think that this crocodile can hurt you, which means that your enemy should be an ordinary person. At least, they don't have a clear idea of your strength. When everyone heard Klaus' speculation, they couldn't help but nod in agreement. Guild leader, Can you think of someone who would do something like this and be able to do it? Chen Zhao thought for a while and said, 7 months ago, when I went hunting with my family in the mountains, we met a group of poachers. They were hunting an albino cougar, but now it belongs to me. It's called Snow White. What about the poachers? They attacked me. Chen Zhao didn't continue, but everyone understood what he was talking about. Attacked Chen Zhao? Ah, they must be tired of living. But later, I met their boss in New York, Chen Zhao said. Then, because of Snow White, their boss deduced that his team's disappearance had something to do with me. Then I sent their boss to meet God. Right now, the most likely person is related to the poachers, Cos said. Guild leader, leave this to us. We're the best at this. You're going on vacation soon. Can you make it? There's still 10 days, Cos said. That's enough. All right then. If you need military support, you can look for our own people. Cos and his team smiled. They might not be good at exorcism, but they could deal with some criminal groups with their eyes closed. Cos and his team smiled. They might not be good at exorcism, but they could deal with some criminal groups with their eyes closed. Oh, Chen Zhao called. King Kong, bring out 2 boxes of wine. When everyone saw King Kong bring out 2 boxes, Cos's team, Eric, Payne, and Helis were all curious. Each of you can take a bottle back. I don't have anything else. Just treat it as a Christmas gift. West and the others were experienced. Seeing Chen Zhao give them wine, they were all overjoyed. This was a rare opportunity. The other newbies were confused. They didn't understand why West and the others were so happy. It was just wine. Did they have to fight over it like this? They were also picking and choosing, constantly looking at the number plates on the bottom of the bottles. After saying goodbye to Chen Zhao, everyone got into their cars and left. Mr. West, is there anything special about the wine? There's nothing special. West glanced at the wine in Cos's hand. It's not good at all, but it's a gift from the president. We can't reject it. I'll help you get rid of it. Cos dodged West's hand. He didn't believe West's words. Don't listen to him, Gaius said. If you sell it on the market, the cheapest wine from Chun will be $100,000. Take your nameless wine, for example. Only Mara Supermarket in Sacramento sells it. It's priced at $66,666, but there's a limited supply every month. That's why each bottle can go up to $200,000 to $300,000 on the black market. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. So expensive? Doesn't that mean the president gave away a few million? To the outside world, this wine is very expensive, but Chun brewed it himself. How much can he spend? He even planted the grapes himself. But how can I bear to drink it? You can sell it. If the president finds out, he'll kill me, right? Chapter 9:29. President, I've found them. Dead or alive? Chen Zhao asked. Do you want them dead or alive? If it's convenient, keep them alive. Our new headquarters even built a dungeon. It's not good to leave it empty. We have to send something in. Understood. Klaus and his team had done their best. They'd only been in the association for less than a month and had already received a huge gift. His wine was still at home, and some of the others had already taken action. They were overjoyed to sell it for $250,000. It was real money. Klaus felt that the wine would definitely increase in value, so he didn't plan on selling it for now. Plus, they just joined the association, so they had to perform, especially since they were a special group of people. They didn't know magic, so they had to show their worth. Chen Zhao was also impressed by Klaus and his team's training. It had only been less than 2 days, and he had actually found the person. Chen Zhao didn't know Klaus and his team well. In the past, they'd always fought with terrorists. This time, they were looking for a group of poachers. It wasn't difficult at all. Chen Zhao found them almost effortlessly. Now that they'd caught them, Chen Zhao was in a good mood again. However, he planned on setting up some things in his territory. He didn't want his enemies to think about it and cause the people around him to get into trouble for no reason. Chun, I'll take Jerlin to the supermarket. You want to come? Woof woof. Before Chen Zhao could reply, Black Ma and White Ma ran over excitedly. Do you guys still want to go? Fei Lai ignored Chen Zhao's reply and asked the other pets. Princess walked slowly to Fei Lai, followed by Walter. "Darling, don't just stay at home," Fei said to Chen Zhao before leaving. "Go for a walk or find Mr. Stephen and the others for a drink." Because it was close to Christmas, Chen Zhao's business had decreased a lot. In the past 10 days, Chen Zhao hadn't gone out at all. Fei was afraid that Chen Zhao would be too free. Chen Zhao was too lazy to go out. He'd rather stay at home. Oh, since it was almost Christmas, he should give the association a red packet. For foreigners, Christmas was like Chinese New Year. Let's give everyone a red packet then. Then, he remembered that Felwood Cisco and his engineering team were still in the headquarters. He couldn't forget about them. "Mr. Felwood, can I ask you something?" "What is it?" "Mr. Chen, I would like to ask, how many people are helping me with the construction?" "Mr. Chen, is there something wrong with my construction team?" "No, I'm just asking. A total of 45 people, Mr. Chen. They are all professionals. I believe in their professionalism. They won't be lazy or violate the construction agreement." "Is it accurate?" Chen Zhao asked. "Yes, if you don't believe me, I can give you the name list of our construction team." "There's no need for that. You guys go ahead." With that, he hung up. Felwood Cisco, on the other hand, was filled with worry. Chen Zhao's sudden call made it impossible for him to calm down. What did Chen Zhao's call mean? Felwood Cisco thought about it anxiously for more than 2 hours, but he still felt uneasy. "Hey, Tammy, gather all the construction team leaders for a meeting." Soon, all the project leaders were in front of Felwood Cisco. "Did your people do anything illegal in the past 2 days?" "Boss, they're all honest. Apart from one who asked for leave, I didn't find anything illegal." Felwood Cisco thought for a long time and realized that there was nothing wrong. "Did any construction materials go missing at the construction site?" "Boss, did you find some theft?" The foreman thought that there had been a theft at the construction site. Although America was a developed country, the unemployment rate was extremely high, especially for low-skilled workers like them. They could be easily replaced. For an American, unemployment often means despair. One shouldn't think that everything would be fine just because they had unemployment insurance. Unemployment insurance couldn't satisfy their credit card payments. Once they lost their jobs, they would lose their houses, cars, and even their families. There were so many homeless people in America. Many of them even had extremely high academic qualifications. Just because they lost their jobs once, they lost everything and were unable to recover from it. Therefore, when they heard that there had been a theft at the construction site, they all became nervous. The biggest problem at a construction site wasn't death, but theft. Just then, there was a hurried knock on the door of the simple meeting room. "Boss, Mr. Chen is here," a worker said hurriedly. Everyone was terrified. They thought that Chen Zhao was here to get even with them. Felwood Cisco's mind also went blank. "Come with me to see Mr. Chen." When Felwood Cisco and his men saw Chen Zhao walk over, they looked troubled. Chen Zhao walked up and gave Felwood a big red packet. "This is for you, Mr. Chen." This, Felwood thought that it was a lawyer's letter. "You have a share too. Come." Chen Zhao glanced past Felwood and gave each person behind him a red packet. This much money?" A foreman opened a red packet. "Mr. Chen, what does this mean?" Felwood also opened a red packet. It was a brand new stack of bills. They were all $100 bills. "It should be $20,000. Mr. Chen, we Chinese have the tradition of giving red packets during Chinese New Year. Usually, we give them to our juniors or subordinates, but we give them during Chinese New Year. You Americans don't have Chinese New Year, so I'll give them to you before Christmas," Chen Zhao said. "I just asked you about the number of people in your team. I'm afraid that some people won't have enough if you give 2 little red packets." Felwood's tears almost fell out. He was almost scared to tears by Chen Zhao's call. "Can you call all your people over? I want to give them the red packets personally." "Go, hurry up and call someone," Felwood immediately shouted. Hearing that there was money, the construction workers immediately came to line up. Chen Zhao personally gave the red packets to the construction workers one by one. Felwood looked at Chen Zhao. In just a short while, he'd already given out $200,000 to $300,000. There was $20,000 in his red packet, $10,000 for the other foreman, and $5,000 for the regular construction workers. "Mr. Chen, I'll get the construction team to finish the house as soon as possible. Don't worry. I gave all my subordinates a long holiday. They're going to Cape Town to play in a few days. Even if you finish the house, it'll be empty. You just have to finish the house according to the contract. Felwood sighed at Chun Zhao's generosity again. Just then, a Native American worker ran over. Mr. Chun, this is the custom of our Walla tribe. To show respect, you have to offer our tribe's totem, Azu. Please accept it. Chapter 930. It was quite an interesting handicraft. What beast's tooth was this? Chun Zhao wasn't a zoologist and couldn't tell. But it probably wasn't from an animal he already had. Chun Zhao knew his pet's teeth well. Judging from its size, it was about the same size as Princess. But it was slightly flatter and longer. Chun Zhao put the so-called totem into his pocket. Every civilization and culture had their own customs and habits. You shouldn't offend them even if you didn't understand them. You could dislike gifts from others, but you should at least respect their kindness. On the way home, Chun Zhao took out the totem and looked at it again. The totem gave Chun Zhao a strange feeling. It was an inexplicable feeling. He couldn't tell what was going on. It wasn't like the totem had any aura or anything like that. It was just a strange feeling. Chun Zhao thought about it and hung the totem on the rearview mirror. This was a habit of Chinese people. They would always hang some health and safety amulets on their cars. Just then, two cars suddenly stopped by the side of the road. Chun Zhao felt like the two cars had purposely touched each other. Then the people in the cars got out. Chun Zhao saw that one of them was familiar. It was James. The other was a woman. She seemed to be around James' age, but she still looked pretty. The two started arguing on the side of the road. Chun Zhao also parked his car and watched them argue. Okay, Chun Zhao was bored enough. Chun Zhao wanted to see what they were arguing about. The woman started grabbing James. James kept holding the stick. Do you think you're something now that you're the director? The woman's voice was very loud. You're still useless. You'll make crappy movies that lose money. You're useless. You'll be blacklisted by the film company, and then you'll go back to being useless. Chun Zhao took out his phone to record. The woman suddenly noticed the car parked behind. Then she looked at Chun Zhao, who was filming with his phone. She immediately turned around and slammed her fist on the hood of Chun Zhao's car. She was quite strong. The front cover of Chun Zhao's truck was dented. Get out! How dare you film me? Which news agency are you from? I'll get your boss to fire you. Chun Zhao opened the door and got out. When James saw Chun Zhao, he immediately grabbed the woman. Mr. Chun, why are you here? Well, James, you purposely found a newspaper reporter to trick me, didn't you? Hand over your phone. Quickly hand it over. Ignoring the unreasonable woman, Chun Zhao looked at James. Who is she? A celebrity? Don't play dumb with me. Hand over your phone. Otherwise, delete what you recorded. Otherwise, I won't let you off. Sarah, stop. He's not someone you can offend. If you offend him, you'll be banned by Hollywood in the future. Although James quarreled fiercely with this woman, it seemed that he still cared about her quite a bit. Bullshit. I've acted in a few blockbusters. Why would I be afraid of a guy driving a broken truck? Sarah looked at Chun Zhao in disdain. Mr. Chun, I'm sorry. Sarah hasn't been in a good mental state recently. I apologize on her behalf. James, you're getting worse and worse. Look at you now. You can suck up to anyone. Sarah's face was full of disdain. You deserve to never be successful. Sarah looked at Chun Zhao. Kid, I'll remember your license plate. If I see my photo in any tabloid tomorrow, I'll break your legs. Chun Zhao shuddered and watched as Salad swaggered off after flaunting his strength. Who's that woman? Chun Zhao asked curiously. My ex-wife, James said. Mr. Chun, she didn't mean to say those things. Please forgive her. I can't be bothered to argue with her. Chun Zhao glanced at James. You still have feelings for her? My daughter belongs to her. James's expression was ugly. How did you two start fighting? She wants to act in Steven's movie, so she came to me, James said. I don't have any say in Steven's movie. Even if I did, I wouldn't introduce her. Is she a celebrity too? In order to get a higher position, she got together with a director in the industry and acted in some movies with him. She's a bit famous now. Married? Chun Zhao was surprised. James did this too. He often used small roles to attract actresses. He didn't expect that he'd been cuckolded too. James nodded with an ugly expression. Thankfully, Chun Zhao didn't continue asking. After all, it was really disgraceful. Who's that director? I'll go smash his window and help you vent. That director left the industry long ago. His box office failed miserably and caused huge losses for the film company. There's no more movies for him, so Sarah cut ties with him. She doesn't have any representative works, so there's nothing for her to do in the industry. James and Chun Zhao sat on the hood of the car and chatted. My movie will also be released on Christmas. I'm afraid I'll be like that director. James's expression suddenly turned serious. Don't worry, you'll succeed. Chun Zhao patted James' shoulder. James wasn't Steven. Even Steven had almost broken down in that situation. James's pressure was even greater. Steven's failure would affect his reputation and prestige, but it wouldn't be fatal. But James was fatal. If a new director couldn't prove his commercial ability in his first commercial film and suffered losses, he'd be blacklisted by all the major film companies. From then on, he wouldn't have the chance to be the main director or direct his own movie. He could only go back to being Steven's assistant director. Every director hoped to direct their own movie, not be someone else's assistant director, even if that person was Steven. Your movie will be released so soon? Small budget movies are all like this. After filming, they'll have around 2 months to promote it, and then it'll be released directly. There aren't many resources. Even Steven couldn't avoid it, let alone me. But I don't have Mr. Steven's ability. Mr. Steven can make a small budget movie into a legend. I can't do it. James had fantasized about it, but he knew his own ability. The movie hasn't even been released yet. Do you have to be so pessimistic? Chapter 9:31. Chun Zhao was like a trash can, and James was there to pour out his trash feelings. Chun Zhao realized that this feeling was familiar. Steven seemed to be like this too. Chun, sorry to disturb you for so long. Smiling, Chun Zhao shook his head. It's fine. If you're annoyed, come to my place and drink with me. I'll go back now. I'll visit you after I'm done. Chun Zhao hugged James. Don't think too much. Relax. Watching James leave, Chun Zhao received a call from his mother. Chun Zhao, do you have time? Come to my place. Chun Zhao guessed that his mother missed Jerlin. Although Chun Zhao and his mother were distant, he didn't object. Nevertheless, he didn't object to his mother interacting with Jerlin. No matter what their relationship was, his mother was still Jerlin's grandmother. Plus, Chun Zhao felt that it was something to be happy about having another person to love Jerlin. Mom, I'll bring Jerlin over tomorrow. Okay, his mother answered almost immediately. The next day, Chun Zhao brought Jerlin to his mother's place. Hearing that Chun Zhao and Jerlin were coming, Yura waited at the door. When she saw Chun Zhao and Jerlin's car, she immediately went up to hug Jerlin. Jerlin still remembered Yura. Once she was in her arms, she immediately kissed Yura's face. Brother, look, Jerlin still remembers me. Chun Zhao took out a red packet. This is for you. Yura thought that it was money. Her mother used to give her red packets during Chinese New Year too. Yura poured it out. It was a gold coin with a red string on it. Brother, what's this for? It's for safety, Chun Zhao said. Where's Mom? In the living room. Yura brought Chun Zhao there. Chun Zhao realized that Chun Ku was there too. However, the two just nodded. Yura, give me Jerlin. His mother couldn't wait to snatch Jerlin away. Chun Zhao, what can Jerlin eat now? Other than milk powder, she also eats some soft food, Chun Zhao said. How old is she? You're already giving her soft food? I plan to stop breastfeeding her in 2 months, Chun Zhao said. So let her touch other food now. Otherwise, she won't be able to stop breastfeeding. Weaning is very painful for both adults and children. Why don't I help little Jerlin wean? I have experience. His mother looked at him expectantly. Plus, Feilai's pregnant too. It'll affect her. Chun Zhao shook his head. No need. I want to wean Jerlin myself. Weaning a child was also an experience for Chun Zhao, an experience that he couldn't miss. Weaning a child was also a stage of growth for the child. Generally speaking, children would be weaned around the age of 1. At this time, the digestive ability of the child's stomach had already improved and could digest more complex foods. However, Qinzhao had observed Zhirlin and her papa. Some children who developed faster could be weaned earlier. After weaning, the child could obtain more comprehensive nutrition through the food he ate. His mother's face showed obvious disappointment. Of course, the child was Qinzhao's, so he had the final say. As a mother herself, she could understand what he was thinking. The way she interacted with Qinzhao had always been to treat each other with respect. Although the phrase, treat each other with respect, was used to describe husband and wife, in reality, their relationship was just like that. They respected each other, but didn't interfere with each other's lives too much. "Oh, Qinzhao, this is my red packet for Zhirlin." Qinzhao took the red packet and opened it. It was a share transfer contract. Qinzhao only glanced at it and then frowned. "Mom, take this back." "Qinzhao, this is for Zhirlin. It's not Chinese New Year or Zhirlin's birthday." Qinzhao was very determined. His mother's expression darkened. "The shares belong to Yura," Qinzhao said. "Zhirlin doesn't have the right to own them." "Brother, can't I give it to Zhirlin?" "No," Qinzhao rejected immediately. His mother quickly regained her composure. "Okay, I didn't think it through." "Oh, Qinzhao, I heard that you have a lot of connections in Hollywood. Your cousin is also an actress. If you have a way, introduce Chan Ku to some departments." His mother changed the topic. "Actually, I don't have many connections. I'm just a health consultant for a director." His mother didn't know because Chun Ku had told her everything she knew. But Chun Ku wouldn't really believe Qinzhao. She'd seen Qinzhao's relationship with Stephen and James. No matter how Qinzhao messed around on James's set, James always let it go. Also, the chairman of PLM Film Company and Stephen were fighting to be Zhirlin's godfather. It clearly wasn't as simple as knowing each other. "Annie, don't make things difficult for cousin." If Qinzhao wasn't willing to help, she obviously wouldn't give him the cold shoulder. Qinzhao and his mother were very different, and he was even more indifferent to Qin Ku. If they met on the street, he might not even greet Qin Ku. "Oh, have you thought about Zhirlin's Chinese name?" "I have a few choices. Do you want to think about them?" His mother asked. "I plan to give Zhirlin's Chinese name when she's 1 year old." "Oh, I see. That's good." Some families would give their children a nickname first, and then a real name when they were 1 year old. The Qin family also had this custom. Qinzhao felt that Zhirlin was just a nickname. He would give her a real name when she was 1 year old. His mother was also helpless about this. Qinzhao had separated Zhirlin's growth from her grandmother, but she couldn't do anything about it. Qinzhao's relationship with her was already very faint. Their relationship had always been more intimate than that of a stranger. "What do you and Feilai plan to do for Christmas?" his mother asked. "I haven't decided yet." His mother had wanted to invite Qinzhao's family over for Christmas. But Qinzhao had rejected her a few times before, so she didn't think it was possible to invite him. Actually, Qinzhao planned to have a party on Christmas Eve and invite his friends in LA. Christmas would be for the two of them. He'd also arranged some programs. As for the pets at home, apart from Snow White, which was a pure wild animal, the others all had demon blood in them. How could they be interested in Christmas? They wouldn't be letting Qinzhao down if they didn't cause trouble on Christmas. "Oh, Mom, this is the wine I brought. Feilai and I brewed it ourselves." Qinzhao took out his gift. "Nameless wine? You and Feilai brewed it?" His mother immediately recognized the bottle when she saw it. Chapter 932. "Annie, is this wine famous?" It wasn't just famous. It had become a standard at parties in the upper class. His mother also had 2 bottles. She'd bought them from the black market. She'd also sent people to Mara's supermarket to keep a close eye on it and buy it every month when it was on the shelves. But the result was the same. She couldn't get it at all. There were too many rich people who thought the same as her. Moreover, Mara's supermarket didn't have a fixed time every month. It could be the beginning of the month or the end of the month. In order to buy the wine, They'd even started a spy war. They'd bribed the supermarket's employees, executives, and even the buyers and transporters. Some even wanted to know the source of the wine. Unfortunately, they'd all returned empty-handed. In Mara's supermarket, the source of the wine was the biggest secret. Even the executives didn't know where the real source came from. They didn't expect the wine to be made by their son. Chun Zhao stayed at his mother's house for half a day. He mainly wanted his mother to spend more time with Jerlin. After all, he rarely came over. His mother also rarely went to his house. Every time, she'd use the excuse of sending Yura to his house and then spend some time with Jerlin. Before leaving, his mother was very reluctant. It was like they were going to part forever. When Chun Zhao walked out of his mother's house, he received a call from Fei Lai. "Chun, where are you now?" "On my way home." "Don't come back. Go line up at Marina's in Beverly Hills." "I'll go there now." "Is that restaurant famous? Can't you just call and reserve a place?" "Marina's doesn't accept phone reservations. You can only line up. Even celebrities have to line up there." "Okay." When Chun Zhao found Marina's, he realized that there was indeed a long line. Of course, many customers didn't line up in person. They had their assistants or bodyguards line up. It was rare for Chun Zhao to line up with a child. Just then, a couple walked over from Chun Zhao's side. The woman was James' ex-wife, Sarah. She had a mustached man in his 60s. When Sarah saw Chun Zhao, she glanced at him from the corner of her eyes. "Seriously, why does everyone come here to eat? It's disgusting." Sarah looked at Chun Zhao. The man stroked his mustache. From Sarah's tone, it seemed like she had a grudge against this Asian. "Hey, this isn't a place you should be," the man with the mustache said. Everyone's gaze fell on the three of them. A few of them looked at the man with the mustache in awe. However, Chun Zhao didn't know this guy at all. "I like being here. What's it to you?" "This is Marina Restaurant. We only serve celebrities here," the mustache man said. "A third-rate director's follower dares to line up here?" Sarah looked at him in disdain. Clearly, she thought that James was her follower. She also checked the news about herself today, but she didn't find any negative news. So Sarah felt that her warning had worked. James? James, the director of Animal Mart that was released at the same time as my movie during the Christmas slot? That's right, it's him. But how can his Animal Mart compare to your God of War? The smile on Sonnenfeld's face widened when he heard Salad's words. It was every commercial director's dream to direct a super blockbuster. Moreover, DSN had already conducted a private screening of God of War and had professional critics evaluate it. All of them gave high ratings. The test screenings in a small area were also very good, and all of them gave very good reviews. Sonnenfeld believed that after God of War was released, he could become a first-rate director. "Go back and tell James to prepare for a box office failure," Sonnenfeld said provocatively. At the same time, he stuffed a $10 bill into Chun Zhao's pocket. Then he patted Chun Zhao's chest. "Also, this is your compensation after you lose your job. Otherwise, you won't even have money for your daughter's milk powder." With that, Sonnenfeld and Salad went to the counter at the entrance. "I don't want to eat with a lowly person and chase him away." With that, the two entered the restaurant without even waiting in line. Then the waiter walked up to Chun Zhao. "Sir, I'm sorry. Our restaurant doesn't accept you. Please leave." "Why? Our restaurant has our rules. We don't accept people who don't dress properly. Also, we don't accept babies. It'll affect other customers' mood." "I've been standing here for half an hour. Why didn't you say so earlier?" Chun Zhao was a bit annoyed. "You've been standing here for half an hour. You've seriously affected our business. I didn't warn you because I wanted you to leave on your own. Now that a customer has complained, please leave immediately." "What if I don't leave?" "Then I'll have to call security," the waiter said. "Got it?" Chun Zhao carried Jerlin and left with a dark expression. Downstairs, he met Fei Lai. "Chun, aren't you going to line up upstairs?" Fei Lai was dressed very beautifully today. She even wore the dress that Triss had designed for her. Even with her 3-month-old belly, it couldn't hide her beauty. Chun Zhao chuckled. "I've already asked people to line up upstairs, but there are a lot of people. Just wait here." Chun Zhao had Fei Lai sit on a chair downstairs. I'll go buy a bottle of water. Do you want something to drink? No need. Leaving Jerlin beside Feilai, Chen Zhao walked to the side and took out his phone. He dialed Yamila's number. Merry Christmas, Miss Yamila. Hi, Mr. Chun. There's still 10 days until Christmas. Isn't it too early for you to give your blessings? Amira knew Chen Zhao's temper very well. He wouldn't call her if he didn't have something to say. Mr. Chun, what do you want? Please tell me directly. I want to ask you how to buy a restaurant quickly. How quickly? Half an hour at most, Chen Zhao said. Which restaurant? Marina's restaurant in Beverly Hills. Do you know it? Yes, Amira answered. It's the property of the famous movie star, Na Twain. I want to know if you have any ideas. It's hard, Amira said. Miss Amira, I can help you with something. Even if you offend the Demon King, I can help you solve your problem, Chen Zhao said. Anything? Chapter 933. Chen Zhao hadn't been humiliated like this in a long time. Even Jerlin had been humiliated like this. Chen Zhao hated this feeling. He was never someone who knew how to hide his emotions. If he lost something, he'd get it back. Half an hour later, a car stopped before Chen Zhao. An older man alighted from the car. Hello, are you Mr. Chen? I'm Na Twain. Hello, Mr. Na. Call me Twain. Na Twain didn't become an A-list celebrity by putting on airs. He knew the importance of connections. Since Chen Zhao could invite Amira, it meant that his background wasn't weak. Of course, he was an A-list celebrity, an international superstar in Hollywood. If it was just Amira, he wouldn't have compromised. His relationship with Amira was more of an exchange of benefits. Compared to the exchange of interests between him and Amira, a restaurant was obviously not worth mentioning. Mr. Chun, my suggestion is to transfer 60% of the restaurant's shares to you. I'll keep 40%. Trust me, this is the best choice for the restaurant, Na Twain said. You don't mind if I use your name to earn money? Chen Zhao asked, smiling. If I can have a friend like Mr. Chun, I think it's worth it. Na Twain was good with words. At least, Chen Zhao felt comfortable with Na Fa's attitude. I'll go with you, Na Twain said. I can announce this to the restaurant staff. Okay, my girlfriend is still sitting there. Na Twain followed beside Chen Zhao. When he saw Feilai, his words were also appropriate. Is that beautiful lady your girlfriend? Feilai was surprised to see Na Twain beside Chen Zhao. Unlike Chen Zhao, who didn't care about what was happening around him, she still paid some attention to Hollywood. That was why she recognized Na Twain at first glance. Hello, beautiful lady. I'm Mr. Chen's friend. Na Twain smiled and shook hands with Feilai. Hello. Feilai didn't understand why Chen Zhao would invite Na Twain. However, Na definitely wasn't Chen Zhao's friend. At least, they weren't close. She basically knew all of Chen Zhao's friends and had a good relationship with them. Moreover, Chen Zhao's friends wouldn't call him Mr. when they called him. Mr. Chen heard that Miss Feilai likes my restaurant, so he bought shares from me. Miss Feilai can come to my restaurant whenever you want. Feilai looked at Chen Zhao in disbelief. But more than that, she was touched. She didn't think that Chen Zhao would buy the restaurant just because of what she said. Feilai, sorry for making you wait so long. I'm fine. The three of them went into the restaurant. When the waiter at the door saw Chen Zhao, he wanted to humiliate him again. However, when he saw Na Twain beside Chen Zhao, the waiter's expression changed. Panic appeared on his face. Willie, are there any empty rooms? Na Twain asked as he walked to the service counter. Yes, sir. Mr. Chun, Miss Feilai, let's go in. When Chen Zhao reached the door, he paused and looked at the waiter. Oh, you're Willie, right? There was a meaningful smile on Chen Zhao's face. Willie's expression turned fearful. Willie, this is Mr. Chen. He'll be the biggest shareholder of the restaurant in the future. When you see Mr. Chen and Miss Feilai, you have to respect them like you respect me. Biggest shareholder? Willie's expression turned very ugly. His smile also froze. The three chatted happily as they entered the restaurant and the room. The room was by the window. The huge floor-to-ceiling glass wall allowed them to see the night view of the entire Beverly Hills. The decorations inside were also very exquisite. Mr. Chun, I won't disturb you and Miss Feilai anymore. Goodbye. A while later, the waiter came in to take their orders. After ordering, Chun Zhao stood up. Feilai, I'm going to the bathroom. Then he walked out of the restaurant and looked around. The restaurant's business was quite good. Chun Zhao had spent $8 million to buy 60% of the shares. It was quite worth it. Marina Restaurant's per capita spending was around $6,000. The business hours were only 5 to 10 in the evening, and they were only open for 5 hours. The night's turnover was around $300,000. After deducting the cost, the net income was around $50,000. It would take around a year to recoup the cost. Normally, Nafa Twain wouldn't sell a golden chicken that could lay eggs. Chun Zhao didn't know what price Amira had paid, but he'd also paid a price. Although it was the result of being impulsive, Chun Zhao felt that it wasn't a loss. After all, 60% of the golden chicken's shares belonged to him now. When Chun Zhao walked to the intersection, a waiter walked over. Sir, is there anything I can help you with? The waiter already knew that Chun Zhao was the biggest shareholder of the restaurant, so he was very respectful to him. Do you know which table Mr. Sonnenfeld is eating at? Chun Zhao asked. Yes, sir. Take me there. The waiter brought Chun Zhao to Sonnenfeld and Feilai's table. The two had been having a pleasant dinner together, but Chun Zhao, an uninvited guest, appeared before them. Why are you here? Damn it. How can you enter such a high-class place? Sonnenfeld looked at Chun Zhao in dissatisfaction. Chun Zhao looked at Sonnenfeld with a smile. In his hand was the $10 that Sonnenfeld had given him. Mr. Sonnenfeld, thank you for the $10. I'll take good care of it. I'll always remember what you said to me, Chun Zhao said with a smile. Mr. Sonnenfeld, I'll take good care of it. With that, Chun Zhao turned and left. Both Sonnenfeld and Feilai were very unhappy with Chun Zhao's words. Everyone could tell that Chun Zhao was declaring war on them. Waiter, why is he here? Sonnenfeld asked, annoyed. Mr. Sonnenfeld, he just became the biggest shareholder of Marina Restaurant. What? How is that possible? So many people in Hollywood want to buy this restaurant. Nafa Twain never agreed. Why would he sell it to a random Asian? You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.